This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good afternoon and welcome on board. Lovely afternoon here with some Impala rams out here on Djuma Private Game Reserve. It is wonderful to have you all with us on this semi-overcast in the distance afternoon, but quite warm. How are we all doing? It is myself out this afternoon. I'm not alone. Not alone at all. We are very excited to have you out on safari. It is going to be a bumper of an afternoon, I have no doubt. Looking at our Impalas, though, that are over there. I'm not the only one about. Lauren is out and about on a bumble. We have Deirdre out in Tswalu, who I think is trying to follow up on her cheetah from this morning. Tessa from andBeyond and Ngala out about. I think she wants to find the Birmingham Pride. And then we have Damien out in andBeyond Phinda, who's also looking for some fast cats. And on that note, everybody, we welcome you on board your live African safari. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Djuma Private Game Reserve, where my voice is not too loud and scaring the animals. I'll make sure I don't make too much noise. It is a very nice 30 degrees Celsius. We parked here in the shade, 86 degrees Fahrenheit. We are going to be heading down towards Chitwa this afternoon, see if we can find ourselves some spotted cats in the form of Thandi and her little son. Hello, everybody. My name is Steve, and I'm joined this afternoon by Lance. Lance, it's wonderful to have you on board. Are you excited? Lance is very excited. He's bubbling. He's bubbling. So as we look back at our Impalas over there, we will be ready to head on down south towards Chitwa. And bearing in mind, everybody, Impala are one of the favorite meals for our leopard family. And the reason we actually stopped where we stopped to do the opening was because there was a little family of warthogs that we could see, and they've disappeared. There's a little mud wallow just down the way. Before I get into that, though, if you have any questions and comments, please send them through to #WildEarth on Twitter. Throw them in on the YouTube chat stream. Alternatively, you can send them into the ether, I suppose. I'm only joking. But if you're under 18, please send your questions via email through your parents to kidsquestions@wildearth.tv. But alternatively, you can go through to the website and you can register, where you can then go to the live safari page where you can submit your questions there. Shall we go on? Let's head on south, and maybe we'll get a glimpse of this little family of warthogs that's loving a little mud wallow just up ahead over here. So we're going to sneak up, see if we can see them. But warthogs are very jumpy this time of year. They're very short, you see. And the grass is like this to the warthogs. You saw Lauren the other day when she got off the car. It was above her head. I'm not saying Lauren's short, but she's taller than the warthogs. So they're very, very short in this long grass. So we'll see if we can get them just up ahead on that little corner. We might get them bursting out in a moment. A lot of little mud wallows along this road. We left the Talamati Pride, as you know, this morning around Buffelshoek. Andre, I have no idea, but there could be. There could be. Oh, there's the warthog. Oh, it's gone. Piggy. They don't stick around, everybody. Andre, there could be predators. There could be something around every corner. But have you seen the length of the grass on either side? It is, you could hide an elephant in there. So no doubt you could hide a pride of lion and all of the other small and wonderful predators that we find. There's slender mongooses around. There's dwarf mongooses all over the place. Genets and civets hiding out. Caracals, which some of us have never seen in the Sabi sands. I've seen a couple back when I worked down at St. Geets. I saw a couple there, or should I say my tracker saw them. and I eventually saw them after he pointed them out for about 5 minutes. I think Tristan said he's never seen a caracal in the Sabi sands, which is incredible, the amount of time he spent here. And there's lots of birds of prey, so there are enormous amounts of predators around, but at this time of day, it's not always that easy to find them. So we're going to go down to Chitwa because, well, I know where the lions were left this afternoon. They went into the thickets, so we'll leave them there. And I'm sure either myself or Lauren will follow up on them later this afternoon. But we'll go down to Chitwa and see if we can find you a predator. How does that sound? Alternatively, we are going to find some birds and some other wonderful things. Okay, well, the weather is a bit blustery, quite sunny with a few clouds. I wonder what it looks like in the rest of the properties.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm having such a good day for insects here. Before I introduce my new friend, I'll introduce myself. My name is Lauren, and I do have Bless on camera today. We're actually on Simbambili, and I have been looking for these guys. So I'll get out the way, but I just want to have a really good look at her. Wow, you magnificent beast. I wonder if that's the male. There's one above her, but I'm just going to very cautiously get out of the way and make sure I don't break the web. That would be absolutely heartbreaking if I was to break the web. But everyone, I'm sure there's many people watching and you're not fans of spiders or any arachnid, but this is the golden orb web spider, I think. And I have been looking and looking and looking for one of these. Now, the reason I know that very large one is the female because, wow, the females are extremely large. The males are tiny, extremely small. And I kind of discussed this morning when we were talking about the flower mantis. It's an evolutionary adaptation, sexual selection. The females are bigger, they have to hold more eggs. The males are smaller, they obviously don't hold any eggs, and they need to be able to escape. What do they need to be able to escape? Well, her, to be honest. She gets hungry. When she's hungry, she'll eat them. Very intelligent little beings, and the males know that they're in such danger. They have to mate. That's their role. They have to reproduce. They have to continue on their bloodline, but she's going to eat me. That's a tricky one. What's the solution? How do we mate without being eaten? Well, he leaves her little food parcels. So if he really can't get to her, if she is just too hungry, he's going to deliver a little food parcel, then run away. And then when she's very busy, occupied and eating the food parcel, he'll quickly come in, quickly mate with her and run away again. I have to say it's not very romantic at all, but that's how it works in the world of golden orb web spiders. And the silk, I'm not sure if you're really able to see it right now, but the silk is golden. That's how I spotted her. You just see the sun touching the silk, and it's very, very yellow, and she can change the hue. If many of you are editors of photos, you can change that hue. It can be very, very strong or really weak. And she produces the silk naturally. And she can change how yellow or golden the silk is. It's all in her control. And of course, the silk is made from amino acids. Amino acids are the building blocks of protein. And it can vary, different silks will vary in different thickness and stickiness for different uses. So because it's so fine to our eye when we look at a spider web or we look at silk, we probably don't understand that there's actually different types of silk. It's not all the same. And a single spider can actually produce up to 7 different types of silk. And that can be used in many different ecological ways. Different species will utilize the silk in different ways. And different glands are actually used to produce the silk. And these glands are inside spinnerets. You can actually see it. If she was the other way around, if we were able to see the underside of her abdomen, we would be able to see her spinnerets, but sadly we can't. Daniela, age 12. Good question. You're asking, are they venomous? Well, all spiders are actually classified as venomous, to be honest, because they do contain venom. But not all spiders have that method of delivery. Now, there's a difference between poison and venom, a big difference. Lots of people say, are those spiders poisonous? And no, that's not the correct term. The term is venomous because venom has to be injected. It has to get into the body of the other animal, be it a human or be it another organism. So the toxin, the venom has to get in, and normally that can be done by sort of fangs or a tail or a spine. There has to be an appendage that injects it into the other organism, whereas poison, that's a toxin that gets into the body via swallowing, touching, or maybe inhaling. So all spiders are said to be venomous, but not all the venom will harm a human. And not all spiders have that method of delivering it to a human. So this one, the golden orb-web spider, they are harmless to us. She's huge. Maybe we'll come a little bit closer again, please. And a lot of you have sent me a message saying you hear my voice in one of the WildEarth videos saying, I never thought I would face my fears this way. And this is what I was referring to. I used to have severe arachnophobia, everyone, severe. And now I am absolutely blown away by this gorgeous beauty. I mean, she's a monster. I don't want to scare her. They can be quite skittish. Can you get any sort of comparison here, Bliss? You can see, I don't know if it's working for the angle for Bliss, but she's huge. She's absolutely huge. And Dory, not all. It's called sexual cannibalism. And there's actually a spider on top of her right now. That could be the male, actually. Not all species do sort of sexual cannibalism, but the golden orb-web spiders are absolutely renowned for it. And she's eating. That's why she's not running away. You see, she's got 8 legs naturally, but she's got sort of mandibles and jaw parts at the front where she's eating. I think this is the male just here, Bliss. You see him? And you see how small he is. So good to see you. And I know many of you may be watching and you might have arachnophobia, and I'm sorry if this is... That is her underside. I'm so sorry. That's her spinnerets. Okay, let me try and direct you. You can see her head, then you see the white part, that's her thorax. Her thorax is a transport center. Then as you go to the very, very end of the body, I'm not sure if you'll be able to see it because there's a dead something or other there. She's got a black lump. There you go. She's maybe just got something. Whoa. Can you see that black lump right at the rear end of her body, which is actually sitting up? She's hanging upside down. That black lump, that's her spinnerets. That's where all the specialized glands are. And she actually pulls out the silk from those spinnerets. Thank you, girl. You're looking fine today. Yes. A little bit scary, but that's okay. You're still very, very fine. But you'll rarely see these spiders on the ground. Look at the legs. Look at the length of the legs in proportion to the body. She's not well adapted for walking on the ground. You may find it, but it's not good for the individual. She won't survive that way. You'll always find her hanging from webs. And she's hanging upside down. It's an energy-efficient method, believe it or not, because her legs are so long and her body is so short. I don't have that problem. I have very short legs. But anyway, that's why she's always upside down. She's saving energy, and it makes her very easy to just hang that way, and she won't be able to walk on the ground. They're not elegant at doing that. You're not hungry, are you? Because you got lots of food. That's good. You're not going to eat your male partner right now. But really, she's beautiful, and the more you learn about these incredible species, the more you can appreciate them, really. But I understand the fear. I had such a irrational, overriding fear of spiders. I really did. And I can honestly say I'm over that now. Look at me. I mean, I'm very close to this huge, huge arachnid. What do you think, Bless?
Beautiful, yeah.
Is this your first time seeing one?
Yes, it is.
Yes. Rather terrifying when you first see one, I'll tell you. But look at the way she's able to move all of these legs independently. You've got 8 legs. That's a lot. And you're able to move. Look, she's clinging on using her hind legs. The male doesn't know what to do. And she's using all of her front legs to sort of move the food and hang on. Absolutely incredible. I'm so happy I finally got to find my golden orb web spider.
Do you dream of traveling to a far-flung wilderness location where life continues as normal? A place where you can escape to nature and breathe. If you become a WildEarth explorer, then this could soon become a reality. Subscribe today and stand a chance to win regular travel prizes. WildEarth Explorers, it's in your nature.
Sometimes love wants to make you sing. And sometimes love wants to make you bow and fan your wings to your bow. For the southern yellow-billed hornbill, these are signs that love is in the air. These birds are destined for a season of monogamy at least. Breeding pairs are in it for the survival of their chicks. But before love commences, the male needs to woo his valentine with food in the form of nuptial gifts.
I'm Nikki here at andBeyond in Ngala in South Africa. I love getting questions from viewers about all the small things within the environment and how it all is integrated with one another. If you want to ask me any questions, please simply register with the WildEarth website, head across to the Live Safari page and then post your questions there. I'm looking forward to chatting to you on my next WildEarth drive.
Guys, have a look at what we've got. This is better than my birthday. Look at that. This is the first time that I ever see cubs this small. This is so special. This has officially just become my best sighting of all times.
Tune into WildEarth every single day. It's in your nature.
Hi, I'm Kyle, and I come to you live every day here from Tswalu Kalahari in South Africa. My favorite animal in the Kalahari has to be the aardvark. Its unique appearance, its ethology, and as well as ecology within this vast ecosystem is amazing, and something that I have been really lucky to experience on foot here at Tswalu.
Catch up with the guides daily here on WildEarth.
Welcome back to, well, this is Little Gowrie here, everybody, where this elephant is very upset with the marula tree for not providing him with marula fruits. I want to tell him, Mr. Elephant, that tree doesn't have any fruits. Doesn't have any. A bulldozer. Now, there's a definite skill to breaking a tree, everybody. And this youngish bull doesn't quite have it, but I think he might persist. I've seen elephants do this technique where he lifts up like that, and you always got to use his foot as well. Oh, don't kill this marula tree. Please don't kill the marula tree. He's going to come give me a hard time now. No, he's definitely having it out for this tree. Give me fruit. You could almost hear him saying it, can't you? It smells like a marula tree. I don't know if he knows that some marulas are male and some are female. Going to give up. given up. Good. Nope. I'm not giving up. "100%, Luther. 100%. Earth-moving equipment. He is engineering the landscape right now. He's tried to break it. I think he's going to succeed. He's really straining, though. This marula's done so well to get to this size. Maybe he'll be satisfied with just a little branch. There are plenty of marulas around, my boy. Plenty. Here we go. Let's just browse it a little bit. Yes, browse it. Get your heartburn down. Chewing on the marula leaves, everyone, is it astringent? Astringent is basically, when you chew it, it forms like a sort of a paste in your mouth. And if you're able to swallow that, which is quite hard, I've done so a few times, it gives you quite a look on your face. It's very, very good for heartburn. It's quite easy to remember because the false marula has got very green leaves, and the marula has got sort of antacidy sort of green leaves. So green leaves with a sort of white sort of antacid look to it. So quite easy to remember that the leaves are antacidy, which are good for heartburn. I have no doubt the amount of food that these fellows eat, there must be heartburn from time to time. He's going to give up now. Oh, Liam, it takes a long time for an elephant to really figure out how to push down trees. There's definitely a skill to it. He was definitely employing some of the skills required to break the tree, but he didn't quite have the right technique. Now, I don't know at what age they learn how to do it properly. I think it's definitely a learned skill. But I was up in the Northern Kruger in a place called Pafuri in the Fever Tree Forest, and I've told the story before, but there was always really big bulls hanging around in that forest. There was only one or two of the big bulls that were able to break the fever trees. And what they would do is, what that fellow was doing there, they would sort of push it once, then release, push it twice, then release and push it the third time with full force. It sort of gives it that leverage, and then it would snap. They wouldn't just try to push it. They just use the weight of the tree and the spring load of the tree to break itself. And so it's definitely something you only see big elephants doing. You don't often see females being able to smash trees either. It's not impossible. They do break branches and they can break trees, but you don't often see them pushing over really big trees. It's definitely a weight game, but they will damage trees so as to make it easier feeding for their calves. And before it was stated that ecosystem engineering, because by changing the structure of the tree, you're engineering the environment, you're changing the shade aspect, you're changing the shade aspect where the tree was, you're putting shade somewhere else, you're exposing light where there wasn't light before. And so you essentially are creating change in the ecosystem. And elephants are regarded as ecosystem engineers, which is a very cool term. Okay, so we're going to carry on with our little bumble. We're almost at Chitwa. We might just move up slightly to get another view of this boy. But we'll go over to the watering hole and see what's happening at Chitwa. And while we do so, send you over to Tswalu Kalahari with Deirdre.
I'm here. Good afternoon from Tswalu. We have a really toasty, it said only 27 degrees, which is like 80 Fahrenheit, but we've got a very high humidity in the air, so it's a very sticky hot afternoon. Our plan for this afternoon is to head around this area and see if we can find lions. Cross your fingers and your toes, and we'll see if we're able to show you a Kalahari black-maned lion. But I'm Deirdre, and on camera with me this afternoon is Morgan. So yeah, we're looking for lions somewhere in there. and even further to the north of us. And with this heat, definitely going to be lying in the shade. I've seen some... Oh, I've got a nice little bug here for you, Morgan, but I don't know if he's playing merry-go-round. So this is a wild sesame, and there's a beautiful metallic shield bug. If I put my hand one side, he goes the other way, which is perfect, because then hopefully we can get him on the camera. You see him? Perfect. So beautiful metallic coloration, and bright colors like that would generally tend to say to birds, not really that edible. I'm just chasing him around again. There we go. And that's just different layers of chitin on the exoskeleton that reflect and refract light in different ways, which is what gives you that metallic coloration. And they're actually quite interesting little bugs in that they've got a specialized a type of enzyme that they inject into their plant material that they're trying to eat, and that enzyme turns that plant material into a liquid, and then they suck up that liquid. He is trying to avoid me, which is nice because it keeps him on the top of the branch. So he's on a wild sesame at the moment. There isn't a flower on there at this stage. But, oops, don't want to... There is a rudimentary flower, but not much at this stage. We're going to send you across to Tess that also wants to say hello while we carry on our lion mission.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to andBeyond in Ngala. These impalas have had a very stressful day. You can see that they're staring at us looking very alert. And in fact, where I ended this morning was with this herd of impalas. And as we were sitting watching them, they looked really nervous. A francolin flew out of the grass. They started alarm calling like crazy, and out of nowhere, the Makoti male, my favorite male leopard, popped up. And so they have had a very stressful day in this long grass because he camouflages so easily. He disappeared and they did not see where he went. And so they are still standing looking very alert, bunched up together in one little huddle. And so that's what I'm doing here today. That's why I've started off my drive with this same herd of impalas, hoping that I find my Makoti male here today. My name is Tessa. I'm going to be your guide on safari here at andBeyond in Ngala this afternoon. Behind the camera we have Owen. And I'm really, really, really hoping that my Makoti male decides to show his face here today. He was looking absolutely beautiful this morning. He was stalking them. He was actually in the middle of this little group and another little group, probably from the same herd, but slightly separated in the gap. And it was unbelievable to see how he just disappeared. I had probably been sitting with these impalas for 10 minutes before we even noticed that there was a leopard there. That is how well camouflaged he is. And so I'm really hoping, being so hot, that he hasn't gone far. And maybe he's going to pop back up here just now. But you can see this is not normal behavior for impalas at this time of the day. Normally they'd be feeding quite happily, moving around. And they are still standing out in the full sun, looking very, very nervous, very alert, trying to get all the flies off them at the same time, and bunched together instead of being spread out. I can hear some francolin's alarm calling, and you can see the impalas have heard it as well. They've kind of turned their attention towards that sound. Impalas will definitely recognize a leopard scent. They would recognize the different scents of all the different predators as well as the other animals. So they know a leopard scent compared to a lion scent, compared to a hyena, a wild dog, even the smaller cats. So they would be able to smell him if he was upwind. They would also be able to smell if he has walked through an area. They'll be able to smell exactly where he's walked. They have got very good senses. Unfortunately for them, the wind is incredibly strong and it's actually blowing from them towards me. And because the grass is so long, I didn't even see that impala. There we go, another one that was lying down. So it shows you how long the grass is. And that leopard was literally leopard crawling through the grass this morning. You could not even see him. And so with the strong wind, they've got a very low chance of actually smelling him if he's up. Oh, I'm sorry, downwind, not upwind. What's really nice about this area is it's nice and thick on the outskirts, and there's a little pan system, so it's a great place for my kuti male to be resting, waiting for the opportunity to come out again. So that's my mission for the afternoon. I will be looking for my kuti male around this area. Hopefully you get to see him, and I'm going to send you over to Lauren with something interesting.
Bless and I have just came across a very random foam nest. Now, the foam nests are everywhere right now, but why I'm saying random is that it's hanging over the road, which is a little bit sad. And what it does mean is blowing in the wind right now. Sorry, Bless, not easy. This nest is most likely not going to survive, but we thought because it's hanging here, we thought we'll get you some real close-up views to see what's going on inside here. Now, it comes from the grey tree frog or the foam nest frog, but whatever you want to call it. And I don't know if you're able to see it's sort of glistening. I wonder if I can come around and assist you. Oh, as the wind died down. No, I'm going to come around and try and hold this branch for you guys, because you'll see it glistening. It looks moist, and that's because it is moist, and that immediately tells you that it's active, it's alive. Now, when the nest dries out, it'll go very, very yellow, and it will look just completely dried out. It won't sort of glisten, and that's how you know that the tadpoles have dropped. They've emerged, and it's no longer in use. Now, okay, I'm obviously not going to touch the nest, but I'm wondering if I can just hold it in place for Bless. Okay, because the wind is very strong today. How is that, Bless? Does that make any difference to you?
Yes, it does.
Now, it's very moist, and that's because it's to prevent dehydration. But what I can see on this side, I don't know about your side, I can see ants. There's lots of ants on this side, which is obviously not a good thing for what's inside. Now, the biggest fear to amphibians and also insects is dehydration. That's the worst thing. If this nest was to dry out, all the tadpoles inside would die. And that's why it's moist. That's why it's got that wonderful sort of meringue. I'm not doing any good here, am I? I'm really not making a difference against the wind, but I wanted to allow Bless to get so close to this. And it takes a lot of work from the female. A lot of work. She's got to produce this, and she herself risks dehydration producing this. So sometimes she stops halfway, she's producing it with her back legs, she'll climb down, drink some water, get some water, hydrate, and then come back up and continue. And normally when she continues, she'll continue producing this with a different male. It's not always the same male. So inside here there'll be tadpoles with different fathers. BK, are you asking, are there foam nest frogs? These are the foam nest frogs that produce this. You can't see the frog, of course, there's no adult around here, but this is a foam nest coming from the foam nest tree frog. And I'm not sure where this wind is coming from. It's slightly confusing. So I think I may just leave the nest. But just when it's glistening like that, you know that it's still active. If I come across one that's not active, what I will do is actually pick it up and we'll break it apart for you, because if it's no longer active, then you don't actually need to worry about doing any damage. But I don't think this particular nest is going to be successful. I'm afraid it's right at the side of the road. It is above water. I mean, we're in a puddle, But the puddle could dry up by tomorrow, and sadly, that means that the tadpoles will not survive. But it's a great strategy, the female doing this, and keeping them high up can keep them out of the way of predators. And of course, all they have to do is break free and drop into the water, and immediately their life as a tadpole begins. It's fantastic. I don't think that female has got it quite right, to be honest with you. Those tadpoles are going to drop into a puddle that cars drive onto, or the puddle is going to dry up and there will no longer be any puddles. But she's probably put that nest there because at one point there was water. Now we're on Simbambili Open. Not been to Simbambili in a few days, so we're just going to drive around and see if we can find anything exciting for you. But for now, we're going to send you across to Steve, who's also searching.
Welcome back, everybody. We're just following up on these giraffe here. They're busy looking at something. I like giraffes' reliability with regards to predators. We are in the area of Thandi and her boy. We're going to go to the giraffe in a moment. Just want to have a little look around. It's very windy. We know what happens when it gets windy. Our predators get up and move. So with the long grass, you ideally hope the giraffe, with their amazing vantage point, will give you a little bit more of a view. And we'll go to them, see if they're still behaving like that. See, that one is looking very unhappy. Let me go and have a look. Looking like it's looking at something that's gone through the long grass. Just going to go down a little bit more to that little two-track that goes down towards the water. Well, you can actually can you get that giraffe there? She doesn't look very happy. They're moving away from the water. I don't know if they've seen anything. They are very vigilant animals. Oh, it looks like she might just be feeding now. Everything's moving in the wind. There's another one here in front of me at about 12:30. You see that one, Lawrence? She's busy feeding. To the left. To the left, there we go. So she's going to follow the other two. They're going to head away as they go on their meanderings. Remember, giraffe are what we call loose associations. There's no real sort of family grouping. And the patterns of giraffe are a few different reasons. One is for camouflage, and they actually blend in very, very well, believe it or not. And the second reason is that the giraffe's skin, they've actually got capillaries and blood network that comes up to the pad. So each of those sort of patches of dark are actually a huge network of capillary blood network underneath each one. So it enables them to pump blood to the skin, which enables them to cool down efficiently. So if a giraffe's very hot, just stand in the wind, put their back to the sun so that the sun sort of hits the smallest amounts of their body, if there's no shade, of course, and then the wind blowing over those pads releases the heat. And they're able to control that, I believe. So if they're obviously a little bit colder, they can limit the amount of blood flowing to those patches. So almost like heat pads. I've seen some thermal images of giraffe, and they're quite incredible. You have a look at them. You see this one on the right here might look a little bit better. Yeah, there we go. So each of those pads is like a thermal sort of cushion. And when you look at it on a thermal sort of camera, each of those pads is highlighted in a warmer coloration versus the lighter bits in between, which is very, very cool and a very good adaptation if you live in hot climates, which the giraffe does. Okay, well, andBeyond Phinda is out for this afternoon, and Damien would like to wish you good well.
Good afternoon and a very warm welcome to andBeyond Phinda Private Game Reserve. And what a majestic scene we have out here in front of us. The greenest, luscious grass that I've seen in quite a while, and a couple of white rhinos making full use of that lush green grass, feeding. It's been a super hot day. There's a nice breeze starting to blow, and the rhinos have moved out to make use of the grass and feed in the cooler temperatures. My name is Damon, and behind the camera this afternoon we've got Simon, and we're very excited to be showing you an area of the reserve that we haven't been able to film from too many times. So something new, something different, and it's just absolutely magnificent. I can't believe how lush the grass is. It's from all the rain that we've had over the last couple of weeks. The grass has grown thick and lush and long, and all the herbivores are taking full advantage of it. There's these white rhinos here in front of us, and off in the distance, I don't know, Simon, if you can zoom in on that other waterhole further back there. There's a big herd of impala down there, as well as some wildebeest, some zebra, and there's even some, Simon, the rhinos in the water there. There's some white rhinos in the water. No ways. Like I said, it's been a pretty hot day, and so most of the animals, or all of the animals, would have been trying to keep cool in their own way. And of course, for these massive rhinos, water and mud, two very important ways in which they'll keep cool. They'll either roll around in the mud, but if they've got a lovely clean pool of water like these ones have, courtesy of all the rain we've had, they'll go and they'll lie down in the water, normally with their rear ends in the pool, and they'll often lie with their chin kind of on the edge of the waterhole. And of course, once they stand up and start to move around, this lovely breeze blowing in from the north, from the northwest, will blow over their body, or the northeast rather, will blow over their bodies, evaporate that water, help to keep them nice and cool. It's just a lovely afternoon out here. Birds calling. I'm just going to keep quiet for a second just so that you can listen, see if you can hear any of the bird calls. I don't know if you're able to hear that black-crowned chagra. Lots of insects chirping out of the long grass here, some crickets. And a rattling testicular making a bit of a racket, that meh, 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 chee, 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 chee. Calling from a nearby spike thorn, low-growing shrub. Sinak, you're asking how much these grazing animals will be able to tolerate the heat. Sinak, all of these animals, of course, living in this environment, they all will have adapted and have adaptations to be able to deal with the heat, and they'll all do it in their own different ways. So animals like rhinos, like we said, they'll lie down in water or roll in the mud, and they'll often also go and lie in the shade if it's very hot. Things like the impala and the wildebeest, or at least the impala, if it gets really, really hot, they'll often go and lie in the shade, or stand in the shade at least. If they can get a spot where there's a nice breeze blowing onto them, they'll do that too. And they'll pant through their nostrils, and it's quite a comical thing to watch as an impala that's panting through its nostrils. Its nostrils flare open and closed, and they normally look horribly uncomfortable when they're doing that. Wildebeest are quite often a bit strange in that it often seems that they're standing out in the sun on purpose, or at least often you will see them standing in the sun when they could go and stand in the shade, although they too will seek shade if it gets really, really, really oppressively hot. Zebra as well, but zebra, it's thought that because, I don't know if you guys have heard about the patterning on a zebra, the black and white, and how it's thought to create, or it's been proven that coloration, the black and the white, the contrasts, create little air currents over the surface of the zebra's body, and that helps to keep them cool. So often zebra, even when it's very, very, very hot, and all the other animals, even the wildebeest, standing in the shade, you might often still see zebra standing out in the open. And because of the way that the zebra's digestive systems work, they typically have to spend more time feeding in a day than something like than most ruminants. So that's of course a big help for them. Look, that rhino's moving. Look at his two-toned body from where he's been lying in the water. I don't know if you can hear that European roller. There's 2 European rollers that are squawking, flying between the marula trees near to us. That was what that harsh grating sound was. But look at those rhinos, they just stood up. They haven't been in there very long, everybody. When we got here, maybe about 5 or 10 minutes ago, they were just arriving at the water. But I think now, because there's a nice breeze blowing, and the temperature's cooled off so beautifully, they've decided it's time to start moving. And wonderful to see all the animals looking so fat and healthy. It's just so much food available to them. What a magnificent way to start the drive, though, for us here at andBeyond Phinda. Simon and I are going to leave all these grazing animals to continue with their feeding for the afternoon, and we're going to search there's a pride of lions that apparently killed a wildebeest not far from here, and we're going to see if we can't go and find them, see if they're still around.
It is fantastic seeing you all again. Those who haven't met me, my name is Dylan, in what is undoubtedly a very, very, very green Kalahari from what we were looking at a couple of months ago. We will be doing our very first fireside chat for WildEarth. So if you can join us on the 13th at about 7:30 after game drive, it would be an absolute pleasure. We'll see you there.
Sign up to become an explorer and join them by the fire straight after the sunset safari.
Riverbeds are a great way to find water and look for places where elephant have excavated hollows. You can then dig into the sand, and after a couple of feet you should find damp sand, which then can be squeezed out or siphoned off for water. And with water being one of our scarcest resources, it is a good idea to conserve water where and how you can.
My name is Ross, and I'm a field guide at andBeyond Phinda Private Game Reserve. I love getting questions from guests on WildEarth because I love sharing and learning information about nature with new people, and it also makes me feel like you're all joining me in real life. If you want to ask a question on WildEarth, then you need to register on our website. Once registered, go to our live safari page and submit your question below our live feed.
Look at this, the little one is up and about. Certainly hasn't had enough milk at this age. No amount of milk is enough. Oh, corky. Too sweet. Oh, look at this. That is stunning.
Tune into WildEarth every single day. It's in your nature.
Hi, I'm Mike Anderson, and I come to you live every day from Eco Training Pridelands Conservancy in South Africa. The wild animal I think is most underrated. I think buffaloes are the most underrated. They're so tenacious and ferocious, and also very, very protective of each other, which I find incredible. You know, sometimes people think of the big five, they just think of lions and leopards and other big animals, but I think buffaloes are pretty underrated.
Catch up with the guides daily here on WildEarth.
Hello everybody. Well, we We went to the place we left Thandi yesterday, just to see, and I found where Maribs, her son, Maribs, however you want to say it, followed her. His tracks are a little bit bigger than hers now. It's quite amazing how quickly he's grown. And they've got both. He followed her into Torchwood. So we've just popped into Torchwood ourselves. Gonna go slowly along here. Didn't seem like anything came out in that direction. So we might be lucky. We might find them. Remember, these animals like to walk along roads. We followed her into here yesterday and it just got... Yeah, it's just, there's some areas here that still just aren't dry enough yet for any off-roading. So, very limited off-road access to the crests and the upslopes. Anywhere in the steep lines or silver cluster leaf areas to be avoided. You can even see the road in front of me, how it's still draining water. And because of that as well, you'll find the cats will come out onto a surface like this where it's much easier underfoot. But they're bouncing between sort of Torchwood Dam and Chitwa. Not very far. So we might be lucky. There aren't any guests in Torchwood today. So Lucas, I haven't been off-road in some time. I poked my nose off yesterday. After Thandi, just above the seaplane, but after enormous amounts of rain, after even a certain amount of rain, off-roading is off limits. And we've had so much rain that there's going to be no off-roading in some areas for a period of time. And off-roading is only for high-profile sightings. High-profile sightings, and obviously discretion. Very important to use discretion. Very important. Okay, so there is his track in the road. Very exciting, heading directly that direction. So the road's pretty hard. So every now and again you get this nice sort of soft spot and you just get a perfect leopard track. And a general direction, I don't know if you were following us this morning, but the lions are heading in a direction and then we'd lose them. You just keep going and they sort of carry on popping out like that. Leopards can be the same like that as well. If you know the area, you know that they're going to sort of go from one water source to another invariably. And if he's on this road, then he's probably heading towards that water source. As you saw the lions this morning following up and going around water points, not just for their need to drink, but the fact that the prey animals that they hunt need to drink as well. Okay, the ground is very hard here. There's a small track there, but it's not clear. I'd show you, but you probably won't see it. So we just go very slowly along here towards Torchwood Camp and towards what actually is called Leadwood Dam, not Torchwood Dam, because there's a giant leadwood there. Makes sense? Wonder, there's been quite a lot of migratory birds that entered ages ago, already in some as early as September, some as early as August, even late July, I suppose, August for the Wahlbergs. Now this is just where I need to see if he turned right or went up there. So no new birds that I've seen. There were quite a few birds that got pushed in from the cyclone 2 weeks ago, but I didn't see any of them. I did see something on the dam cam, which was most likely one of the terns, but my dam cam ability wasn't very good with my binoculars and couldn't see much with the binoculars. Doesn't look like leopard walk this way, but we're going to go around that way towards the water and then cut back that way. There are some better roads, there might be some better tracks. That's a grassy track there that I think even Tristan might struggle on, but he'd probably find something over there. So I can't think of any new. I mean, it's getting to the end of the season, so the birds are going to start heading back. If anything, right now, the birds are really bulking and eating as much as they can to put up, some of them can put up 50% of their body mass now in the coming weeks for the flight home, because it's basically fuel. They're just going to burn it off by the time they do feed along the way, but not an enormous amount. And so it's basically just stocking their fuel, getting ready for the long journey. Okay, so this is a really nice little patch with elephant tracks. So really nice when you see when large animals have walked. They damage the ground, or should I say they churn up the ground. It makes looking for a track a little bit easier. But tracking requires quite a lot of patience, some guesswork, and in some cases, an enormous amount of luck. So we do track animals regularly. It's definitely one of my favorite things to do. And it's nothing more rewarding, everybody, than tracking a leopard, physically tracking a leopard from start to finish. Yes, we get on track sometimes and we find them and we're like, yeah, but physically, what Herbie used to do on our bushwalks, my goodness. And Rexon, what those guys can do, and some of the guys I worked with in the past, Johnson, Mhlongo, Exon and Lovu, George and Kuna, those guys could track a leopard over a rock. Elijah, 13 years old, you want to know if the European roller flies all the way in from Europe? Well, indeed they do. They fly all the way in from Scandinavia, Eastern Europe, wherever else in Europe that they occur. And isn't that wonderful? They don't need any passports, they don't need visas, they don't need to pack a bag, they don't have to eat an in-flight meal service. There's no customs. To be a bird, to be a migratory bird, the life. Okay, so I'm not seeing any tracks on areas here that would probably be quite useful for tracks, so I've got a feeling they might have walked through. It's also possible that Thandi made a kill between where we had that there might be in one of the trees there. So we're just going to go check the water while we're checking the termite mounds. We'll still check for tracks along the way, taking it really slowly. It's always nice to check these really big marula trees, as you know. There in the far back there. Can you see that marula in the far back, that really big one? Yeah, that one on the left. Left, that big mushroom. So always nice to look in big trees like that. And if you see something that looks a little bit out of place, just stop and have a look with your binoculars. You never know. You might spot a little jay, you might spot a little bulb of something, and then you have a close inspection and the bulb has actually got some spots on it. That one, though, I don't see anything, but we check them all. The sun is hidden behind some clouds. It is a real blessing. Real blessing. Okay, so some sandy patches here. We'd expect maybe to see a track. Olivia wants to know what my favorite big cat is. Are you specifically talking about an individual or a species? Because it's becoming more and more tricky. I haven't seen Shadulu since I've been back. So she's losing some points on my book. Although she was on Simbambili yesterday mating with the tortoise pan male around Simbambili Lodge, which I thought about going towards, but it's a little bit far out of our sort of broadcastable space. So Shadulu's been one of my favorite leopards lately, but there's a gentleman who turned 5 just recently whose name has always meant the little chief, but these days he's become the chief, so I don't know when his name's going to change to Horse and not Hosanna, because Hosanna is an absolute legend. And Sebastian and I were talking about little Maribs the other day, who was sitting and stalking around us and doing his thing. And Seb was saying he's reminding him a lot of Hosanna in Hosanna's early days. So could Maribs be the new Hosanna? We're not going to replace him, everybody. That's not what I'm saying. But wouldn't that be wonderful to have another charismatic young dude on the scene? Yes, indeed. I think so. I think so. He's moved off to greener pastures to the south. And he seems to be doing very well. Old Hosanna. Okay, well, we're going to keep searching all the termite mounds and everywhere we go, but while we do so, we're going to send you back up to Lauren, who I think is enjoying some Mbili.
I believe this Shimungwe lioness with her cub is somewhere in this area, or at least they were this morning. So we're just doing a really, really slow bumble around Simbambili Open, which is called Makulu Open, the big open, the great big open. I love it. It's similar to Quarantine, but it's much, much larger than Quarantine. And I just wonder if we can pick up signs of her. We obviously didn't see her this morning, so it's difficult to know where to start, but you never know. The water hole's up ahead, and of course, that's a very, very good place to start when it comes to a hot day like this. I just want to keep my head down and see if I can pick up on any tracks as well. Now, the open is open, but the grass is still long. But they're going to seek shade, that's for sure. So we just need to look for the shady spots. I've actually never seen the Shimungwe lioness. I have never had the pleasure. Buzzard for you, also known as the steppe buzzard, but for some reason our signal just dropped. It's a very beautiful bird, a migrant, all the way from Russia. That's my Russian accent. Nasroviet. It's a gorgeous migrant. It comes very, very far, and I wonder if maybe we can loop around and see if we can get another view for you. But for some reason, we just didn't have signal. It's quite common to see them in Simbambili. I've never seen one in Djuma, but for some reason I see them on Simbambili. And they used to be called the steppe buzzard, but I do believe the name is now officially the common buzzard. Okay, we're coming round to the dam. I don't see any elephants, but of course it's a big water hole, so you never know what may be coming to drink. Oh, I can tell you who's been here. Les, do you see those white lumps on the ground? Are you able to get them? Oh, yes, you can. I wonder, I'm sure many of you know, but this is a telltale sign of who has been here. Now, are you ready, Bless? I don't have matching socks on. Please excuse me. I want you to focus on my pink foot. And once you're there, are you there? Okay, I'm going to squash it. Look at that. This, ladies and gentlemen, is hyena poo. Hyena scat. And believe it or not, the ground below is not that hard, but can you see here under my foot right now, it breaks down to a complete powder. Now, to be honest, there's no other scat out here that would do that, go down to the finest of white powders. And it's very, very obvious as soon as you see it, it's a hyena, because they eat so much calcium. Well, their poo turns white, not when it's immediately being released from the body, But once it starts to dry and once it starts to harden, it goes completely white and it's in powdery form. And you will find other organisms eating that. Leopard tortoise is one. It doesn't sound very pleasant, but if they need a good healthy dose of calcium, I guess, well, it's a very good place to start. Hyena scat. So at least we know there's been some hyenas around here. We will be heading to the den later, of course. But it's been a very, very hot day, which no doubt means they will not be there right now. You've got to get your timing right when it comes to the hyena den. And once the scat dried out like that, it doesn't smell, it's not smelly. You would never touch it with your hands, but you can make it into powder form, and that's because it's just got far too much calcium. Even the human body, you can only process so much. A lot of people take supplements. I am ridiculous for it, really. I take a lot of supplements, I love them. But if you take too much, your body can't handle it, your body can't process it, and it will just come out in your urine. So it's a bit of a waste. You've got to understand your body's sort of amount that is required that it can process, and then measure up your supplements accordingly. Now, hyenas don't really measure up the level of bones that they eat, but it's obviously far too much calcium for the body, and therefore it comes out the other end. Okay, Simbambili Dam. What do you have for us? Not very much by the looks of it. It's very quiet. I don't even see the resident hippo. This is also a good place to come for birds. I do. What do we have down here? I think that's the hippo. It's not completely quiet. Okay, we're going to continue to explore Simbambili Dam, and for now we're going to send you across to Tswalu.
We found them. So there's a little bit of an altercation going on here. So we've got the two of the male lions and some of the lionesses and then a couple of the sub-adults. And there seems to be a little bit of an altercation going on between the males and the sub-adults, especially the sub-adult males. Those sub-adult males are sort of about 2.5, 3 years old. So they're at the time where they do need to move off on their own and they do need to go and find their own space. But obviously they don't want to leave the females either because that's like free food. The mums still hunt for them, so why would they want to do that? But the male lions are certainly giving them the what for. So there's one possessing the females in the front here. He's basically just keeping them at bay, and then the other one's been chasing the sub-adults around at the back. So yeah, we've had a little bit of growling and that already. But there we go. Two beautiful Kalahari black-maned lions. 3 lionesses in the front, and then there's the 2 sub-adults. I think it's all 3 sub-adult males at the back there. So don't hesitate to engage with us at #WildEarth and put at FC in front of the question if you've got any questions. Justin's asking the question, why do the Kalahari lions look more mean? Maybe it's because their manes are much darker, so they've got a much darker black mane. It does make them look a bit meaner, and they actually are a fraction larger as well. Even the lionesses are larger to a certain extent. But that dark mane will make them look meaner. But probably they don't behave any differently to male lions that I've worked with anywhere else. So it's probably just appearances. I mean, the male in the front has actually got more blonde in his mane around his head and his ears than the other one at the back. So there's a theory that females will select a male with a large black mane over and above a male with a lighter coloured mane, and it's got something to do with the fact that they can then handle better temperatures, and if they can handle temperatures, hotter temperatures, they survive better, they'd be better genetics as a choice to females. And they have done experiments with lionesses, and they've given her the choice between a blonde male and a dark-maned male, and more often than not, they choose the black male. Oh, bless you. he just sneezed. When he stands up, then sometimes he'll go towards those sub-adults, and or if the sub-adults just move that there's an inkling that they're going to come closer to the females, then the males get up and chase them. Little Piggy is asking the question, what are the lions at Tswalu prey on? So these lions are quite good at catching gemsbok, so the oryx, as well as they've caught eland before, which is quite a large meal, and even zebra. So sort of any one of those. We've seen them walk right past springbuck and not even bother because they're almost too small for the size of the pride. But certainly gemsbok, eland, kudu, oryx, that's in their size range. And most places, lions will tend to eat more of whatever's dominant in an area from a prey distribution. Oh, we might get some... He looks like he's going to lie down again. He's still unsettled, but he's not really in the shade there, so... But he's definitely the buffer between the sub-adults and the lionesses. We'll see something interesting here. I don't know if is that a lioness trying to come back? There we go. She's... oh. And that was on live TV, everybody. Amazing. She approached him submissively, and he was quite aggressive towards her, which is quite strange because it's a female-male interaction. Whereas very often that's more reserved, that kind of aggression is more reserved for a sub-adult male. But those are definitely the three siblings at the back there. So it's one sub-adult female and then two sub-adult males. That, yeah, we might get another interaction. There's a bit of a stare down happening there. So you see how the body posture for the sub-adult on the right-hand side is head held low, he's alert, he's aware, he's just almost saying like, okay, you the boss, don't hurt me. And then the big male says, okay, you know your place, and then he lies down. But, wow. What did you think of that? I totally didn't expect that. I expected probably a little bit more head rubbing and a bit more social behavior than that aggression to that poor female. She's disappeared completely. She's just gone over the wall to the water. They're breathing very heavily, but that's partly the heat, but they also look quite full. They look like they've eaten recently. So we're going to send you from one watering hole to the other with Tess. We'll stand by here to see if there's any more interactions.
Welcome back to to andBeyond Ngala, everybody. I am actually sitting at Clara Dam in the east, and I'm watching this male knob-billed duck, which seems to be sunning himself on that fallen tree, which is just on the water's edge. And you can see on the bottom right-hand side of the tree, there's some foam nest frogs' nests there, looking nice and fresh, and they're overhanging the water. And this knob-billed duck seems to be the territorial male. He seems to like that log a lot. He seems to be around here pretty often. But it's just amazing how much bird life there is here today. We've got knob-billed ducks, there's saddle-billed storks, there's African spoonbills, we've got Egyptian geese, we've got three-banded plovers, a whole lot of different swallows coming in and out. It's unbelievable, and you can see the weather's starting to really pick up. So we've got quite a bank of clouds coming in. And so it actually seems like all of these birds, like that Egyptian goose, they've all actually left the water and they're now standing over the edge of the dam. And because of the storm that's coming in, there's a lot of insects out at the moment, so there's swallows flying over the dam. And I think with the rippling on the water from the wind, that might be why all of these geese and ducks have moved out to the sides of the dam. There's an African spoonbill pair that seem to be sitting in one of these red-billed buffalo weaver nests. And there actually also looks like an old hammerkop nest in there as well. But you can just see that beautiful white is actually standing on top of the nest at the moment. Jeanette, so the knob-billed duck, it doesn't actually use that knob that's on the bill for hunting, so they don't technically hunt like you would think. They would actually eat more vegetation, so he'll go around the edges of the water looking for bits and pieces to eat. And so it doesn't really hinder him too much with feeding. It's actually not a permanent fixture either, so it is only here for the breeding season, and then after the breeding season his bill will look quite normal. So it doesn't actually hinder the feeding at all, because he would actually feed mostly on things close to the sides of the water, like maybe vegetation. And occasionally you might find as well that they might eat some of the other things, like small tadpoles and things, by accident. But it wouldn't hinder him too much. I would imagine if you had it at least once a year on your face, you'd kind of be more used to it, if that makes sense. But it is an absolutely stunning day. The sun is scorching hot, but luckily this breeze is keeping us cool enough. And you can actually see the birds are really taking advantage of it as well. There's a lot of birds coming in, flying over, dipping for insects. There you can see some of the swallows. Got red-breasted swallows that I've seen. Barn swallows as well earlier. I even actually saw, which was quite exciting, I saw a wood sandpiper a little bit earlier, and we do get them in this area, but they are actually migratory birds, so it's only here in particular times of the year. And it kind of looks similar to a little three-banded plover. There is a beautiful rainbow over the dam at the moment as well, and it's actually just started to rain. I've just felt the first few drops. I feel like I'm constantly amazed by the amount of rain that we are getting. Look at that rainbow. That is so beautiful. So I'm definitely going to sit here for a while longer and just appreciate the bird life around me and watch the storm roll in. I think it's going to be a beautiful afternoon.
Imagine having your own secluded African bush home where you and your friends can enjoy the ultimate safari experience. If you sign up to be a WildEarth explorer, this could become a reality. Tumbeta House is located in the heart of Djuma Private Game Reserve, the home of WildEarth. You could win a chance to stay at this intimate wilderness retreat, offering you the rare and highly sought-after privilege of your own home in the bush. The prize includes 3 nights for 6 people and includes daily game drives, a chance to see the WildEarth camp, and have dinner with one of our guides. Sign up to be a WildEarth explorer before the end of February 2021 and you could be heading to Djuma, the place that we call home. Available dates are limited, so terms and conditions apply.
So in 1998, we had this idea to go and put a live web camera on a waterhole somewhere in the Sabi sands next to the Kruger National Park. And I approached just about every single landowner and everybody thought I was completely crazy until I met Yuri and Pippa Moorman.
We thought it was definitely a fun idea and a worthwhile thing to experiment.
And it immediately became a runaway success. And it gave people all around the world the opportunity to watch a little piece of Africa day and night. Back in 1998, it was the very early stages of the internet. And all we were able to do was to get a 30-second refreshing JPEG out of that camera. But over time, what we began to do is focus more and more on trying to develop this concept of giving people the opportunity to go on safari.
Even though we live just 500 meters up this hill, we still put the camera on to see what's happening.
Absolutely, we watch it ourselves.
My name is Taylor McCurdy and I work for Eco Training. I love hearing from all of the viewers. However, I particularly enjoy those of you who have been watching for a few years. Your questions are just so advanced and they really get me thinking. If you'd like to ask a question on WildEarth, you need to register on our website. Once you've done that, head to the live safari page and submit your questions below the live feed.
I'm sending it to Gus because the three that they're fighting with are three that they want to get rid of. But I mean, now I think with an eye, he's probably not sellable.
Sorry about that, everybody. You're back with us on Torchwood, where we haven't found any more tracks. But we had a little spitting of rain from one cloud. Wonderful when the sun is shining and you get one rain cloud above. Reminds me of those sort of cartoons, you know, someone's a bit moody and they've got one thundercloud over their head and everyone else is sunshine and rainbows. You've seen one of those before? Sunshine. Oh, blessings. We've had so much rain, everybody. And as I've said before, there's another warning, another cyclone coming in. And I'll find a moment just now to do a bit of reading for you because I was given some very nice information from somebody. Sent me an email giving me some insight into the different types of cyclones, which I didn't really know. So I'll credit that individual in a little bit. Once I find a nice quiet spot to sit. Always nice to receive some information. I try and learn everything I can, and sometimes we just fall short on information, so it's always welcome when we are able to receive information from all of you out there. One of the things I learned many years ago as a guide on a vehicle was to never expect or to suppose the people in your car don't know anything. Quite amazing how knowledgeable some people are. You could have a botanist, a geologist, you could have a doctor on board, and now you're trying to teach this guy about something you don't really fully grasp yourself. So I always used to find out who knew what, and then I'd ask them questions, and it was a great way for me to learn going forward. Well, let's have a look at this marula tree. Well, that has been damaged by elephants. See the ring barking that's happened. Looking for the antihistamine properties. Now, the bark is protecting the tree against desiccation, against drying out, against water loss, against insect attack, against fire. And elephants do this damaging, and it might not kill the tree directly, but it will invariably lead to something happening to the tree where it might die. And so these trees, as we go up to the top, are the kind of trees we're looking for with a leopard in it. Maybe a kill, maybe just chilling. Beautiful with the clouds behind. Really, really blessed. So I just wanted to say thank you to Kathy Caselli Thompson, who was a geography high school teacher for 44 years. So she sent me some information to help me understand the difference between the two different types of cyclones, just so we know. We've got another one on the way. So there's two tropical cyclones, hurricanes and typhoons. Apologies if I have to read this because I can't retain sometimes all the information I receive. So the cyclone that was expected over the last one we had was very, very likely one of these, a tropical cyclone, normally occurring in late summer. It moves westwards, in this case towards Africa, in the tropical regions. And that one was given the name Eloise. They can reach approximately 120 kilometers an hour before they hit the land. And it produces obviously very high winds and enormous amounts of rainfall, which leads to the flooding. Now, once they hit land, their wind speed's reduced enormously, the rain as well, and eventually dies out. Obviously, depending on how much land it comes across, there's a huge amount of buffering effects. So America, they call tropical cyclones hurricanes. So Katrina was one of those that was experienced a few years ago. And also East Asia, tropical cyclones, they call typhoons. So we just call our cyclones, but tropical cyclone is a more accurate term. So I do appreciate that, Kathy. And there's another whole different type of cyclone here that I'm not going to talk about now because what's most relevant for us is the ones that hit us. And Kathy was actually a SABC weather presenter from 1978 to 1996. So I hope you're watching today, Kathy, because I do really appreciate the information that gets passed on. The only way to learn is to keep learning. And, I do appreciate it. Thank you. Okay, so we're going to move on from a wonderful-looking sky. See if we can find... So, Minamu, the last big one we had was in 2019. And now we're getting a second one straight away. So it's one of those things that develops in the ocean. Many, many factors behind it. As you can tell, I'm no expert in cyclone development or structure. But they come and go, with the seasonality of the ocean currents and the changes in moisture, obviously we've had a lot of dry years. So we've had quite a few dry years. We're going into a wet season. A wet few years, so obviously that is heralded with the cyclones, is bringing in the moisture. Okay, so here we are on Cheetah Cut Line, one of my favorite roads to check for leopard tracks. And we've got a small little group of impala here, just trying to hide in the long grass. But we see you, impalas. Yes, we do. We see you. Now they're looking very relaxed and very chilled. Very relaxed and very chilled. So I'm expecting nothing is happening here. But the wind picked up, so we had hoped to have seen some movement of cats on the property there. I'll do a little loop around because there's another small area to check. And then barring that, we're probably going to go and see if we can follow up on the Talamati Pride because they might start moving, although they did have relatively full bellies, so they might not move. Okay, let's go. I'm going to head up. Let's just pop back into Torchwood. Go towards the watering hole from a different angle. See if we can be lucky. A couple of nice accesses. See if maybe they've crossed. That little spattering of rain has just put this little cup of moisture on the ground. So now anything that walks now will be very fresh. I wonder when last Tundi was on Djuma. Djuma's left. Torchwood is right. Let's carry on to Torchwood. We've been on Torchwood for the last little while. Just slow and steady. Okay, well, we're going to carry on here, see if we can find you some tracks and send you over to Deirdre with her lions.
The same, like their mirror image, paws, heads, angle. Badger, can you believe it? A honey badger. But it was impossible to get on camera. It was fleeting, and of course the minute a honey badger dashes off to the side in this long grass, we're never really ever going to be able to get it. We tried though. But I think I'm slowly going to make my way back to Djuma now and hopefully make my way to the den. That's obviously where I want to end up. But I still feel it's a little bit too hot. The sun's still a little bit strong. There's no shade at that den, really. I mean, inside for the cubs, yes. But for the adults, there's really no shade. And therefore, they're not going to hang around. They don't want to be at the den all day. Got to get a little bit of a break from the cubs if you're a mother at some point. So we've reached the gate. We are going to head back on into Djuma and see what we can find. Now, although the access roads are never very aesthetically pleasing, shall we say. They're not very beautiful to look at. They're definitely not beautiful to drive on, I can assure you. They very often deliver in terms of information. So the cut lines or the boundary lines, whatever you want to call them, they really, really are useful because animals cross. And this is where you want to check first thing in the morning. It's a good starting point to get straight to a boundary line and try and see what's moved during the night. Because most of the animals we want to see are, of course, nocturnal, which means they're going to do a lot of their moving at night time. I haven't heard any update on Cara, but the last I heard she was at Jacana Dam, which is in Bufasuk, and that's interesting. I wonder if Cara will start to come over to Djuma. There's definitely space for her, and she is welcome. You're welcome, Cara. Cleopatra, I've not seen Corky. I don't know. I can't answer that question, I'm afraid. I've been here maybe 11 days now, and I haven't seen Corks, and I haven't seen Hart. So
I would be lying if I said anything else. I've seen June, I've seen Ribbon and Intima, but I haven't seen Corks and I haven't seen Heart. And that doesn't mean anything. I'm not suggesting anything here. It just means that possibly they're coming to the den in the middle of the night or a little bit later when we are not live. We're only live for 6.5 hours a day. There's a whole other window of the day where activity will happen. So I've not seen Corky, I'm afraid. That's got to blow off. We don't want that. But it would be really lovely to catch up with Corks. Really, really lovely. It'd be really interesting to see June and Corky interact. That's what I really want to see, especially when there's cubs around. We think June may in fact be the lowest ranker. It's not confirmed yet. I see some people confirming it. I don't see how we can possibly confirm that without having had sort of more interactions, more sightings, more observations with them. But that's what I speculate anyway. Going, I'm afraid. A lot of break up there, if you could just repeat. Okay. Okay, I think we're also going through a little bit of a tricky signal patch, so we're just going to wait it out and hopefully pull through.
So, calm and peace seems to have been restored, and from what we can tell, judging by those fat tummies, they definitely have eaten, but not the males. It looks like just the lionesses and the sub-adults have eaten, but the males have not. So the report was earlier this morning that just the males were here at the waterhole, and I think what happened is that the others, having eaten something, this is the next closest waterhole to wherever they ate something, and they came here, and that's now why we're having this sort of altercation between the sub-adults and the two big males. But yeah, they are so uncomfortable. They're struggling to breathe. We can actually just hear them going. They're just so hot. He looks quite casual. He looks quite relaxed. They've almost like the two males have got a mirror image pose. That's the one male. And then you come back to the other male and it's like he's lying almost exactly the same. It's like spot the difference. It must just be the most comfortable angle, position. So what we have noticed on that female is we're starting to see the teats there, but we're not seeing any suckling signs. So this particular pride, only one female of this pride that we know of has had cubs that are literally sort of 2-3 weeks old. Seeing her teats like that suggests to me that there's potentially some new little ones on their way relatively soon. It doesn't look like there's suckling signs there yet, but it does look like the milk is almost there and ready. So females don't necessarily have sort of, the lions don't have sort of bags that hang off like mammary glands. It would hamper them hunting. That's why you don't really see sort of a milk sac, as it were, like a udder, to give you sort of a visual. But with them, it would hamper them hunting if they had all these extra appendages hanging out. That other one in the back's also just rolled over and not too bad looking either. So we do believe that the majority of these lionesses in this particular pride are pregnant, and now it's just pretty much a waiting game. We've got Flem and Grimace from the male there on the right. He's so So he smelt something on the wind. He stopped there earlier, then he bends down and he smells and he gets the scent particles from maybe if a female urinated there, and he then opens that mouth to allow the organ of Jacobson's to get that scent particle straight up to the top of the brain. Oh, here comes some maybe. We might see an interesting interaction here. So that male there is checking receptivity to possibility that she's ready for mating. But females often pre-giving birth almost release the same similar hormones as if they're in estrus, because then once they've given birth and a couple of weeks later little cubs pop out, the male lion's like, oh, they must be mine, I was there. And so you do sometimes get sort of false mating, almost they've already had the cubs, but the hormones make it as if they're in estrus. The males mate with them, and then a couple of days later the cubs pop out and they're almost like, oh, well, they must be mine. So there's definitely interest there, but that lioness rolled over and she also had quite swollen teeth, so it might be that they're about to give birth. Which would be even more reason why the males would be getting really aggressive with the sub-adults. So there is quite a nice little breeze that started to blow, which definitely makes it a lot more comfortable for these lions. They were panting quite heavily in the heat earlier, but the temperature has changed and there's a sort of a wind that's picked up. It's definitely making it more pleasant, and you just actually see how much effort that takes. You know that they really have eaten well. So
It is fantastic seeing you all again. Those who haven't met me, my name is Dylan, in what is undoubtedly a very, very, very green Kalahari from what we were looking at a couple of months ago. We will be doing our very first fireside chat for WildEarth. So if you can join us on the 13th at about 7:30 after game drive, it would be an absolute pleasure. We'll see you there.
Sign up to become an explorer and join them by the fire straight after the sunset safari.
The reason why we see that wildebeest by himself is because he's a male, or a bull, as we typically would call him. And what he does is that he marks and defends an area. Essentially, he is looking for the ultimate piece of land, or prime property. Needs to have good grazing, needs to have a water source close by. And not too far away from here, there's a sickle bush thicket that would provide just enough shelter from the wind and the rain.
My name is Lauren, and I'm currently working in Djuma Private Game Reserve here in South Africa. I love answering your questions during the live safaris. It's my favorite part. It feels like you're on the vehicle with me, and I'm able to teach you exactly what you want to know. If you want to ask a question on WildEarth, then you need to register on our website. Once registered, you must go to the live safari page and ask your question below the live feed.
The croc is still holding another one there. It's holding from the hindquarters. I would really want. The wildebeest cross, is it trying? The croc is holding the tail. It's holding tight. Oh no. Goodness me. Lucky, lucky wildebeest. You have another day to live.
Expect the unexpected here on WildEarth daily.
There's a grounding earthiness to this place that we feel in our ancestors. It's a place where, believe it or not, we evolved as a human species, and anyone who's come to Africa will understand that, the connectivity that the continent has to the person and to people's souls.
is next level. I'm thoroughly looking forward to taking you on your next adventure when we explore all the small and big things.
Catch up with the guides daily here on WildEarth.
If he stops, yes, you got him.
I do.
Welcome back, everybody. James Richard, I know you're watching. This bird is just for you. Oh, it's gone. I know James Richard loves the grey hornbill. Oh, there he is. He's at 2 o'clock on that branch. Yeah, well done, lads. The African grey hornbill. Hello, beautiful. It's lacking the red coloration. Possibly a juvenile, a youngster. Really, really special to... I mean, we do see a lot of them, but we don't often get them on camera. They're pretty shy fellows, but they are one of the louder of the hornbills, the high-pitched whistling. So it's the male. Completely lacks the red. But it kind of looks a little bit younger. The bill's a little bit smaller. It doesn't really have that casque on the top. Can you see on the top of what you'd call the nose that should be a little bit more bulgy right on the top? We call the casque. That is what generally hornbills have on their faces to help with the noises that they make. Almost like the toucan, I suppose. That casque, which obviously adds to the resonance of the beak. Such a beautiful, not to be confused with many birds, but many of our smaller sort of breeding birds like the fork-tailed drongo and the like will often chase these birds because when they fly, they quite often look like a raptor. Their large wings and they're flapping in, and I suppose fork-tailed drongos have jumped the gun sometimes. And they chase anything that comes nearby. Listening. He's a little youngster. He's trying to think, like, what on earth is this vehicle watching us here? I can't mimic the bird call, I'm afraid. A very loud, high-pitched, piping kind of call. I shall play it for you if you listen. Splendid call, isn't it? All of the smaller hornbills that we find breed in cavities, which the female then sediments herself inside. Mary, they are very, very characteristic calls. Very, very characteristic calls. I do love them too. A very easy call to remember, but off it goes. It's also a little bit of a raptor sort of sound to it. There's almost a goshawk sort of sparrowhawky sort of sound to it, and their movement through the vegetation like that is also quite sparrowhawky, especially the grey ones. And so it's almost as if the small breeding birds chase them. It's quite funny to see. But I've seen hummerkorps also chased by by fork-tailed drongos. Fork-tailed drongos just chase everybody. Okay, everybody. So we followed our lions here this morning. I have a feeling they might still be in the same place. No one else has followed up on them today. So we're going to try our best not to drive in any of the poo like I did this morning. That was not fun. Don't recommend it, everybody. I do not recommend driving in lion scat. And we'll just go slowly. They might have come back, so I'm just going to check the tracks that they haven't come back as well. But their bellies were relatively full, so I'm thinking they're probably still there. They might have come out a bit. The wind might have encouraged them to start hunting, so who knows? Bear in mind, this is a live safari. Anything could happen. And the Djuma guides are back. So Aubrey and Fanuti are out and about as well, so we'll be getting a fair bit more tracking done on Djuma in the coming days, which will be good. I have a feeling Sabui and her cubs are in and out our southern boundary, and we just haven't really gotten around to it. Minimu, there are a few tracking schools in South Africa, a few organizations. Not really sure if I'm allowed to say them out loud. I think I am. I might be able to. I'll have to think about it for a moment. I've had lots of tracking qualifications in the past, and lots of tracking courses with private trackers and with organizations. There are places you can go to for a few weeks. There's places you can go to for 6 months. You can go and get a full course, a full qualification. Many of these guys come to your lodge and do tracking as well. You don't necessarily need to do it to become an expert tracker. It's marvelous what you can learn. I know my mum is listening when I say the word marvelous. And it's marvelous what you can learn from being out on foot tracking. For example, a friend of mine is a wildflower expert, but he's also a bird expert because, old Duncan McKenzie, because of his going out to look at flowers. What are you doing at the same time? You're birding, everybody. So, yeah, so he's become a bird expert through his flower knowledge, which is great, isn't it? So while you're tracking, you learn everything else. I think the art of tracking is what developed the scientific mind, the ability to go, here's a track, there's a track, there's a track, and think outside of the box. That with enormous amounts of omega-3s through hunter-gatherer lifestyles on shellfish off of the coast, what we call the strandlopers, developed increases in brain capacity and then tracking. It was those days humans weren't able to sort of capably pull down a prey animal. So they would shoot them with a poison arrow, and then they'd have to follow them because the animal would take a few days or however long it would take to die. And so you'd have to follow. You'd have to become the eland. You'd have to become the kudu. And that requires stepping out of a box. And when you step out of a box, you start to think about things differently. And so tracking is definitely where sort of evolutionary scientific mind was developed. So there is Cyber Tracker, which does lots and lots of tracking. They've even got apps and all sorts of things. And there's also the Academy, does tracking courses, and then a lot of the other sort of guide training centers also do lots of tracking as well. Quite often they employ those individuals to come in from those two organizations, or they're qualified people like Lee Guttridge from Nature Guiding School, or Norman Chalke from Eco Training, or gentlemen like George and Kuna who probably just do it for fun. Old Georgie, he's a good friend of mine. Okay, so Buffelsukdam, we're going to find some lions. Now they were here this morning and they moved into the thickets. So I've got a very strong feeling they're still in the thickets. What do you reckon, Lance? You weren't with me this morning. So your guess is going to be one of pure instinct.
Yes.
What's your feelings? They're still in there?
Good feeling, yeah.
Still there. Same place. But I highly recommend everybody going on a tracking course, or 3, 4, 5, 6 days, 2 weeks, a month, however much time you can afford. There's lots of organizations or people that are doing it. Because while you're doing the tracking, you're learning about the grasses and the trees. And well, when you're tracking the animals too, aren't you? So you learn about the animals. And then Robert and Lovo down from Landalosi, who loves his bird tracks. I learned lots from all of these gentlemen. Okay, well, we're going to find our lions, and while we do so, we're going to see somebody else.
Now we're back into Djuma. It's eerily quiet here. We're on Rebecca's road, named after a wonderful human called Rebecca. And we haven't driven this since the heavy rain, so I'm not actually sure what conditions we're going to find. But we're slowly starting to use other roads at our own discretion. And let's just see what condition they're in. Those heavy rains that we had from the cyclone really impacted a lot of the roads. And Vubu Road is still not open yet. Imagine if the hyena den was on Vubu Road, my goodness. How would we survive? Luckily, it's not. But this is Rebecca's road, and it's used to be quite a prominent road for many leopards. So that's why I've decided, let's just take it slowly, see what condition it's in, and also see who's been walking here, who's been moving. Our traverse was quite limited for some time, and now it's opened back up again, almost. Sorry, I was just having a little look at an insect there. But it moved off, I'm afraid. And Rebecca's road is on the southern side of quarantine, so just over there through the drainage is quarantine. So this is why it's still a productive area. There's a drainage line right there which a lot of animals will like to hide in, especially in summer, to avoid the heat, try and get some shelter, try and get some shade. And then of course they're going to pop out here on Rebecca's, which is exactly why I'm checking it. The second reason is it pops right out at the hyena den. I don't see any cat tracks. Adam, yes, but they crunch through them first. So they will swallow them, but they'll break them down. They've got one of the most powerful bites in the mammalian world. Lots of animals have lots of powerful bites, but it's got to be careful when you're reading articles on that. I actually read a fantastic article, but you've got to wonder, how do they measure the bite force of an animal? It's not easy. And of course, crocodiles, they have an incredible bite force, but hyenas have got a very powerful bite force, even more powerful than leopards and lions in terms of the mammal world. So yes, they crunch right through bones and they end up swallowing them. Their stomach acid is ready for it, their stomach is ready for it, their jaws are ready for it, and of course this ultimately means they get a whole load of calcium into their body. And that's why their scat is white. So yes, they're sometimes termed the bone crushers, but I'm not sure if I like that term or not. Bone crushers. I think it has negative connotations. There's lots of negative connotations surrounding hyenas, which is why I work so hard to try and change that. And out here, we really do get to see the good side and the bad side of all the predators. They will all kill one another's offspring. They'll kill their own species' offspring. And it's not easy. It's definitely not easy, but that's how it works when you're a predator out here. They will all scavenge from one another. It's a great way to survive. It's a free meal. It's a free ticket. The kill's already been done. The hunt's already been done. And you can just get a free meal at the end of the day. But hyenas do have a terrible reputation, which I am determined to change. I find it difficult when I hear people say, I hate that animal, I hate that animal. How can you hate any animal? Even a mosquito, yes, I don't like it when I get a mosquito bite. and is itchy and is swollen. And I can't stop myself. I scratch. Yes, that's annoying, but I don't think I can say I hate mosquitoes. I don't hate any animal. I think it's really important to understand all the animals and how they fit in. Be it land, be it in the bush, be it in the Amazon, be it in the desert, be it in the ocean, be it in the rivers. There's still a lot about the animal kingdom that I don't know, and I'm determined to just never stop learning. I definitely don't want to have negative feelings towards an animal, and maybe I did towards spiders. Maybe I can be honest enough to say that when I first came here. I was terrified, and Brent and James and everyone used to tease me, and oh my goodness, I won't even go there with those stories, but I forced myself to learn. I forced myself to face my fears. Learn, and now I'm absolutely blown away by spiders and their biology. It doesn't mean I want one in my bedroom or anywhere else for that matter, but just by forcing myself to really learn about, what do we have here? My goodness, we are just going to stop a little bit, and unfortunately we can't go any further, I'm afraid. We are in a little bit of a roadblock, and yes, maybe we can see if we can see any insects around here that we can slowly show you, but we're not going to be able to go any further, I'm afraid. I don't see any insects. This is actually the perfect thing to do, though, to be fair. Stop in the shade and have a look around, and you'll just see everything on the vegetation moving. That's actually the real way to find insects. Gwen, can I just check you're still there? Okay, so we're just going to navigate around here, and for now we're going to send you down to Deirdre.
So, apologies for heading out from that lion sighting. We were in a little bit of a depression and we were really struggling with communication, but we hope you got to see them nicely. We left them sleeping in the shade, and we're heading on out to hopefully an area where there's better signal and better communication. But just look at that view in front of us. That's just amazing. So we're facing in a southerly direction, and that's one of the sections of the Koranneberg mountain range. But the wind has picked up a lot over sort of my left shoulder, and looking pretty ominous is that they said 30% chance of rain. What's coming is close on 100% chance of rain. So the wind is blowing it in this general direction. We are moving away from that so we can carry on being on air to keep bringing you live safari. We've got even some beautiful clouds. We can show you that cloud. That's quite a pretty cloud. It looked to us, to Morgan and I, it looked like an angel earlier. It had a halo and it had wings and it had a skirt. But the wind has changed that in the meantime. But every cloud has a silver lining. That's just beautiful. So we'll probably be in for a good sunset again tonight, but it's just nice to see those rays of sunshine through that cloud. I heard there's a question from Nana, but that broke up a little bit. FC, if you can just ask the question again. As far as I understand, do we track better with sight or hearing? Is what I thought I heard. So most of the time it's actually by sight. You'll find the tracks of the animals on the ground, and then you start with that, and then if you are landing up closer or the bush is a little bit thicker, you'd potentially hear something by sound. Certainly if you're tracking lions in that situation where maybe earlier this morning they were busy feeding on the carcass, then you'd hear lots of sort of lion squabbling, and you'd basically get your direction based on that. So you wouldn't even need to go and confirm that. You just rely on your sense of hearing, and you would go into the sighting from there. But most of the time you have to either see the tracks first, start on the tracks, and then when you are closer to the animal, there's the possibility that the audio will help you get into that sighting, if I understood the question. That cloud is growing literally while we're sitting here. That's amazing. So, we're going to carry on going into an area with hopefully a little bit better signal, and then we can chat to you clearly. So, Olivia is asking the question, have we seen any wild dogs recently? Me personally, no. While I've been on Safari Live, they haven't been close by. The wild dogs run this whole property, and it is an enormous place. So not always in areas where we're able to broadcast from, especially if they go into the mountains. But they were probably seen, I would say, 3 days ago, if I can remember from what the guides' reports were. So, yeah. They're out there somewhere. We just basically wait for a report then from one of our game scouts, or find tracks crossing one of the roads to allow the trackers to cross to track them, and then we will hopefully get a sighting of the dogs. We rely very heavily on trackers. Most lodges, in fact, the person sitting on the bonnet is just as important, because without them, a lot of the sightings wouldn't be possible. This afternoon or this morning's last-minute cheetah sighting was possible because of two of the trackers that had been tracking for hours in the morning. And exactly the same, those lions were seen this morning by the wildlife scouts that are out to just make sure of the general health and well-being of all the animals. And the scouts are checking fences and things like that. That's part of their job. And they reported to us that they'd seen the lions, and then it makes it easier for us to go and find them. So it's one big team of communication. Anybody sees anything interesting that could be viewed by the guests at the lodges or yourselves sitting in your armchairs, they let us know, and we share that. Oh, this is the section. So some of our roads got washed. This one's not as bad, but some of them definitely did become little mini rivers. So Morgan, hold on. We don't want to lose him. There we go. Navigate that one. And there we go. So not so bad. So there's rivers that I've never seen in the Kalahari that were running with water, that have taken lots of the sand with it. And we just navigate those as we go. So I hear Steve's got something to show you, so we're going to send you across there.
Yes, we do, everybody. We've got some tracks of the pride of lions, and I can actually see them all the way down the end of the road here. Very, very cool. Let me show you. Here is 2 front feet. Here's one front foot, another front foot, and the body lay this way. And here is the tail. So she lay a couple of lines. There's another, when they stood up, they moved here. Another track, and the body moved. Another one, another couple of feet, another body, and here you can actually see it very, very clearly that one of them urinated right there, still quite wet, and the surface has been disturbed recently. And I got off the car quite safely, having a look at the tracks went all the way down the road, and I spy with my binoculars the shady spot about 200 meters down the road. The pride of lions. Shall we go see them? Yes, Lance is keen. You haven't seen them yet, have you, Lance?
No.
Lance, have you ever seen wild lions in the wild?
No.
How's that, everybody? How lucky is he today? Well, actually, we just saw Darkmane a little while ago. He was lying on the dam wall, all by himself, in the thickets of the dam wall. It's very obscured. Big belly, his leg upside down. His leg upside down. His leg upside. He lay like this. So, just to show you how far away we were, so you weren't all freaking out about it. Look right up on the hill there, Lance. Can you see them? I don't know if you can. People get a bit concerned sometimes with me in lion tracks. Keep going. Keep going. There in the gap. There in the gap. Up a bit more. There we go. A little bit down and the right. There they are. There you can see them lying there. So, far away. Pride of lions. Just taking it easy on the boundary. They've moved away from Darkmane, of course, because, well, when they hunt some more food, he's just going to steal it from them. So they hope he's not going to be able to track them as well as I'm tracking them now. But unfortunately, lions' tracking ability is far better than mine. Shall we go and have a look at them? Lance, how's that sound? Let's go have a look at them a bit closer. We have found a pride of lions. So the wind, I'm sure, is what caused them to move. The wind, coolness. Hopefully we don't lose signal through this little dip. Signal on the other side. Arms in the air. Woo! Just have to update on the radio. Station is located at the Pride on Cheetah Cut Line. Bivouac boundary. I see someone else has just found them as well. Okay, so that is how you don't talk on the radio, everybody. That is how you don't talk on the radio. Here are the Pride.
Like a bombshell, yeah.
Hello, Graham. There's a Graham from Masinga. He's just come out as well to find the lions that we've been tracking. Right here outside the Nsinga sign. Jackie, it is, isn't it? It is. And it's nice to sort of follow up at about this time before it gets too dark. I didn't expect them to move very far, but once again, they've just moved on the main road, straight away from the dam. We picked up the direction where they'd gone into the thickets this morning. It was a very muddy area. It was quite easy to see because where they went in, they left some beautiful tracks, and on their way out, they stepped on those tracks. So it's very easy to see the direction of freshness. So they went in, came out, probably had a drink again, and they decided to continue moving north, which is what I anticipated this morning. After the Nkuhumas calling to the south, with two male lions, the evokers calling there, this pride decided, we're just going to go north instead. And back to sort of more familiar territories for them. They're feeling a lot more comfortable here on the Bivouac boundary. We're very close to Cheetah Cut Line, Bivouac boundary, so Torchwood's close, and Bivouac is everything on the left-hand side. Okay, so we're going to try and get you a better view of the lions that are scattered all over the road as if a bomb has gone off.
Hi, I'm Sue. I'm from South Africa and I'm the incredibly lucky winner of the Tswalu competition. Tswalu has so much to offer, but we're really looking forward to the game viewing options, as going out with a personal guide who has so much knowledge will just be exceptional. Motsi Lodge looks absolutely amazing and we're so looking forward to spending time there. It really is out of this world. I only registered as an explorer towards the end of January, so when the email arrived stating that I was the winner, it took me totally by surprise. I'd just like to thank WildEarth and Tswalu for this most incredible prize. It really is a dream come true.
WildEarth Explorers, it's in your nature.
Our bodies are made up of about 60% water, which means that in a very short space of time, you can dehydrate completely. A relatively efficient way of collecting water early in the morning is to take an absorbent material like a sock and to walk through the grass, absorbing the condensed dewdrops on the grass. Once the material is saturated, you can then squeeze it out into a container, or you can suck it out directly into your mouth.
My name is Steve, and one of my favorite things at WildEarth is getting questions from you. The type of questions that I really like are those ones that really help us to unpack and understand and really integrate the ecological knowledge and fully appreciate the importance that animals such as these Cape buffalo bring to the ecosystem. If you want to ask a question on WildEarth, you're going to have to register on the website. But once registered, just head on over to the live safari page and enter your question under the live feed. Hello, Mama. Just checking us out, everybody. There's no aggression here. Very relaxed. A herd of elephants moving around your car like that is truly, truly magical.
Tune into WildEarth every single day. It's in your nature.
Welcome back to andBeyond in Ngala, where I am sitting with the cutest looking little paw pads I have ever seen in my life. So I'm sitting with part of the Birmingham Pride with the 2 9-month-old youngsters, some lionesses and a sub-adult, and you can see the little cubs are just starting to wake up next to each other. Absolutely beautiful. The sun has just started setting below the horizon, and I think that's what's getting these little lions nice and active. It's cooled down beautifully, and so now it's time to start waking up and playing. Oh, look at those eyes. You can actually see really well on him that beautiful white underneath his dark, almost eyeliner around his eye, the white patch on the bottom lid, and that is so, so crucial for him when he grows up, because he's going to need that when he's hunting. It helps him reflect the glare from the sun, but it also helps him absorb the moonlight when he's hunting at night. Oh, he looks like he might start chewing a stick, or just getting distracted by a scratch. Definitely time to wake up and play. Lucas cubs altogether at the moment, there are 5 that we know of. So there's these 2 that are around 9 months old, and then there's the very young 3 that are around 6 weeks old. We do know that there is another lioness that is very close to giving birth and another one that is pregnant. So very soon there will be some more cubs within our Birmingham Pride, but they are definitely the attraction at the moment. Everybody loves a good little lion cub, especially when they're being cute like this. Technically, the other lions in the Pride that are still younger are now considered sub-adults because they're over 2 years old. So we only have 5 that are still young. Oh, he's really enjoying that. That's very cute. So this is something that we call allo grooming. It's when lions or any animals within a species groom each other. And it's really beneficial, especially for lions. From a young age, they'll start grooming each other, and it's part of bonding, just to remind each other that they're very closely bonded in their care, but also to keep each other clean and free of parasites like ticks. And especially these 2, they've actually been separated from the Pride with their mother for majority of their life. Actually, she's been really, really good with them. She's almost like their best friend, you know. She's taken them away from the Pride, and she doesn't want to bring them back into a Pride with so many sub-adults. So only now that the sub-adults have moved off on their own has she started integrating them back with some of the other lionesses that are still around. So these two in particular have a very close bond for brother and sister. So the rest of the pride is kind of lying in the long grass here. And all you can see is just some pieces of their sides and every now and then a tail flicking to chase the flies. The others are literally right behind my vehicle there. So it's amazing to see how easily we could actually miss them because, I mean, if you were walking past that, there is no way that you would actually notice that in the grass because they're lying so flat on their sides. But with the cubs, it's much easier to notice because they are kind of sitting up. They're in a more clear area. They've flattened the grass around the tree and they're moving a bit more. So these kinds of behaviors that we see when they start grooming and yawning are all signs of them waking up. Victoria, yes, all cat species will allogroom up to an extent. Lions are a bit different because they usually stay together in a pride. They would allogroom for life, whereas other cats might be more temporary. She's chewing grass. They might be more temporary, like leopards, which are only together for mating and when they have cubs. And so the allogrooming you would see between the cubs and between the mother and cubs, but the rest of the time you wouldn't see leopards allogrooming. For cheetahs it would be similar, a mother with cubs or brothers that live together in a coalition. So it's slightly different for each cat species, but they all do partake in allogrooming. I wonder why she's eating grass. Maybe getting playful, maybe a bit of indigestion. Maybe just trying something new. So I'm going to sit here and see what happens as these two get more and more active. Hopefully they'll go over to the adults just now and wake them up. But I'm going to send you over to Steve with his own lions.
Thanks, Tessa. Well, we've definitely caught up with a whole lot of lions. It is a roadblock of lions right now. They're all just enjoying the afternoon. I think they're quite happy that the temperature has dropped slightly. I can only count 11 though. I wonder where the other 3 are. 1, 2, 3. They're never too far away. The tracks I was showing you in the sand before, typical signs of them lying down, not sitting and like facing into the bush. Like if you were with us last night, we had a few of them sitting looking towards the left. Okay, there we go. Another one in the bushes on the left. We do have another vehicle in the sighting with us. They've come from Nsinga, right next to the Nsinga sign. So there's no getting around this, everybody. No getting around this, but that's all right. No complaints. Bruce, as far as I'm aware, they're brothers, but I don't know exactly the age. They're all about 6.5, 6-ish now. As far as I'm aware, they're brothers. So I'm guessing they're the same age, but I wasn't there when they were born, so it's hard for me to know. They formed a coalition, and generally coalitions are the same age, but not always. Not always the same age. He's definitely bigger. You can hear a yellow-bill hornbill behind us giving a big shout. He's not very happy with the pride of lions being here. we're going to move on shortly to go and frame up what is going to be a beautiful sunset while we allow other people to come and have a look at this sighting. So see that there's no real maximum. It's all about food availability. For example, in Savuti, prides get up to 45-50 there because they feed on elephants. If you find a pride that has lots of buffalo around, you can have them in the high 20s. But generally in these areas we spend a lot of time in here in the Sabi sands, you don't generally get the prides over 15 for a period of time. I know the Nkuhumas is at 16, 17 at the moment. These are at 14. It's a lot of mouths to feed. And I'm sure at some point there might be some breakaway. Don't forget there's also immigration, because the males will leave. There's at least 2 here that are coming of age, and there's at least 1 more who's a little bit younger. So those 3 guys won't stay with the pride when there's a turnover. And the Nkuhuma pride has got 6 of those. So their 17 is suddenly down to 11. So that's back down to manageable numbers. So bear in mind that when you do have a lot of cubs like that, many of the boys are going to be pushed out or killed. Either way, they will leave. And then you will have natural mortality of the older females. There is natural mortality through injury as well. Buffaloes and giraffe have the potential to kill lions, and other lions have the potential to kill lions as well. So prides sort of ebb and flow. I mean, we saw the Nkuhuma pride suddenly have no cubs and then suddenly lots of cubs. So these things come and go in the cycles of nature, ebb and flow. But I wouldn't say that there's a fixed maximum or minimum. But in the Mara, you notice the prides get to a certain number, and then they split. I haven't been there when they've split, but when I was at Singita in Lebombo, we had the mountain pride that split, and after that split, they were still 24. That's because they had 16 cubs, so that all were reaching maturity before I left. 15, because one of the young males got killed. So the pride split, and then suddenly 16 cubs were 3.5, 4 years of age when I left there. So that was the mountain pride, and then the Shorombe pride. And the Shorombe pride with 5 females. And so when that split happened, it happened just before I got there. So it probably happened because of the size of the pride suddenly generated. It's only 24 plus 5, that's 29 lions, a lot of lions, everybody. Did call it the Singita Mega Pride for a reason. And they did smash giraffe like there was no one's business. That part of the world is dominated by basalt soil. Huge amount of stunted knob thorns. Beautiful open grazing for buffalo. Basalt soil generates beautiful grazing. And so the lion prides were able to sustain themselves at a large number. I don't think that pride is at that number anymore. Ebbs and flows, as does the seasons, as does life. And bearing in mind, those 8, there were 9 young males, 1 got killed. 8 of them would have left. So suddenly, a few lions moving out makes a big difference, especially if there's 8 of them. Hungry mouths, big bellies, aggressive. They were beating their mums regularly. I was trying to do ID kits of them, and every day I'd find them, there'd be a new scratch and a new tear and a new wound on the face. So 9 young males, can you imagine? Nkuhuma pride just had the 1 young male, and he was pushing each other around. Glenn, they sleep in many places, but the road is free of thorns, it's free of encumbrances, it's smooth, it's can be cooler sometimes, or in the winter it can be warmer. It's just easy. It's easy. A nice open area. If you walk into the bush here, it's probably wet. There's a stick or 2 and there's stones. So the road is wonderful that they do so. Wonderful that they make life so easy for us. They like to walk on the road. They're not all lying on the road. A couple of them are in the bushes on the left, and Yesterday when we had them, they were all in the open grasslands of next to the dam cam. So it just happens to be where they are. They'll walk along and they'll be like, right here, I'm going to sit down. And that's what they do. Yeah, it seems like a better place than any. Okay, so I'm going to move because it's time for the sunset. And we've got a beautiful view just around the corner here. Okay, well, it seems like Lauren has got the sunset, so we might just stay here with some lions.
I've just been to the hyena den and no luck, I'm afraid. I'm rather sad. But we have arrived at Treehouse Dam, and we've obviously just missed the elephants having a good old drink. So they're just at the other side. Oh my goodness. Our Eastern channel is really no fun, everyone. You wonder why we struggle to communicate with those in the East. That's why. That's what it sounds like. Apologies. But the elephants are on the other side of the dam. You can see the big cow there. And it's interesting, there's a small herd of 4 elephants that we keep seeing, and I wonder if it's the same ones. I would imagine it is. I mean, 4 elephants, 1 sort of adult, and 3 youngsters. It's not really a substantial herd in no way, shape, or form. But look at that dramatic skyline we're looking at. Isn't that lovely? It's nice just to stop for a moment, isn't it? Now we're going to do a small loop. Wendy doesn't have infrared, which means we will not make it to the end of the drive, but we will do a small loop, and I am going to try and come back to the hyena den. Angela, you love the silhouette of the trees in the sunset. I know. Nice job, bless. That was a gorgeous scene.
Lovely, y'all.
So let's see what else we can find. This is quite a good time. I think Steve mentioned it's already cooled down. Something nasty is brewing over that. Oh, there's a rainbow. I wonder if we can get this on camera for you. Can you see that, Bless? Right in the middle of the sort of white clouds. It's a rainbow. Sometimes rainbows are actually really tricky to get on camera for some reason. It's obviously a trick of the light. I don't know if you can all see that, but just in the middle there, almost in the middle, there's part of a rainbow. Maybe Gwen can let us know if you can all see that. And you can see it, how lovely. A trick of the light, of course. But rainbows are still beautiful all the same. It's caused, of course, by reflection and refraction and the dispersion of light. because there'll be droplets in the sky. There'll be moisture in the air. And this is what results in the spectrum of colours. Really, that's what a rainbow is. But I still like to think of it as this wonderful array of colours with a little leprechaun and a pot of code at the end, saying, top of the morning to ya. But still, in reality, that's actually not what it is. Okay, bless. Let's keep bumbling and see if we can catch anything moving. It's a great time for predators to be moving, but I want to check the hyena den one more time. So we'll do a small loop and we will end up back at the den just to see if we can catch any activity. Cleopatra, you asked about Corky earlier. We also want to know how Corky's doing. And the only way we're going to be able to find out is if we spend more time at the den. Okay, hopefully we're going to get lucky, but for now we're going to send you across to Ngala and their lions.
Welcome back to andBeyond Ngala, where I'm still sitting with two of the cubs of the Birmingham Pride. And it looks like the male has chosen to have a snooze with his paw against the tree, and the female is still very alert and looking around. But in fact, I think she's heard something, because the lioness has actually woken up and she's looking in the exact same direction, and she's quite fixed. So I'm wondering if they haven't heard maybe other parts of the Birmingham Pride. But it was enough to wake her up from her nap and have her sitting and listening. So she's one of the older lionesses of the Birmingham Pride. You can see her nose is completely black. But she's also got a very large body, although she's one of the lionesses that has much fewer scars than the others. You can hear the birds are a lot louder in the background now than they were. They're all starting to do their chorus before they head to sleep for the night, before they roost. I always find this time of the day very interesting, because you've almost got that changeover of which animals are active as the lions and leopards are waking up. The wild dogs are in the middle of their activity, and the birds are just starting to go to sleep. That one's got one paw in the air, lying on her back. See, that stands out quite beautifully with this dark green grass. So I'm going to sit here and hope that they become more active now that there's more sounds and it's a lot cooler. And I'm going to send you to Steve, where the male lion has just joined the pride.
Well, there we go, everybody. See, he's arrived. Now that everyone's watching, he's starting to limp again, but he was walking just fine. Moment ago. He's going to say hello to whoever he wants to say hello to. Give whoever a little cursory sniff, as is his dominant male privilege. He will try and mate with any of the females, even if they're sub-adults. Their pheromones in their urine will indicate exactly what's going on with them from a sexual maturity point of view. You see, he still favours that foot a little bit, but doesn't slow him down really when he needs to move. Oh, he's going to park right there. There we go. Now he knows he's not missing out on any of the action. He gets a bit of FOMO, everybody. But got a couple of them this side are going to have a little move. So it's a game of leapfrog. No one ever wants to be the last one. Hello, Aiden, age 8. Well, cubs don't hunt. They will follow the pride for a while. After 4 months or 3-4 months, they'll be following the pride, but they won't really do anything apart from just wait or be called to the kill. It's only after about 12 months, or maybe about 12 months, it's about a year, 12 months or so, that they start getting involved, which basically means just chasing animals around that the adults can catch. But only then, about 15 months, 16 months, could a lion probably survive afterwards. Before that, they're really not that well trained or versed in the arts of hunting. They still do like to catch things and chase things, so they're catching things, sticks and all the stuff quite early on, but the active involvement in hunting is only after a year. Before that, they're really just a nuisance to the adults because they're always playing, always getting in the way. And a little lion looks like a lion to any predator, to any herbivore. So when an impala sees a lion cub, they still think it's a lion and they react. So many times in the past I've seen lions stalking and the cubs start coming from the back and start jumping on each other and playing with each other, and the animals run away. They eventually learn that behavior doesn't get them a full belly and they stop behaving so. But from day one, they get brought to a carcass. They behave like a lion. They eat and they growl and they snarl and they make incredible amounts of noise for the competition. But the active role only happens from a year onwards. Okay, sounds like it's been a very awesome afternoon for cats. I'm going to send you over to andBeyond Phinda.
Welcome back to andBeyond Phinda. We've been struggling this afternoon, everyone, with signal issues and just haven't been able to film anything. But I hope that this is going to make up for it a little bit. Earlier this afternoon, we managed to find this female leopard up in a weeping boerbean tree. And unfortunately, we couldn't film her then, but we left her with the other vehicles and we've come back now. She's moved into an area where we should be able to film her. And luckily, she's climbed up into a marula tree where we're able to see her. She's unfortunately, Murphy's Law, she's just shifted sides. She was sitting with her head rear end. Just as you joined us, she petitioned. Because there's a herd of zebra as well as some giraffe that are walking towards this marula tree. She was watching them very inquisitively. Now, both of those animals are obviously
It is fantastic seeing you all again. Those who haven't met me, my name is Dylan, in what is undoubtedly a very, very, very green Kalahari from what we were looking at a couple of months ago. We will be doing our very first fireside chat for WildEarth. So if you can join us on the 13th at about 7:30 after game drive, it would be an absolute pleasure. We'll see you there.
Sign up to become an explorer and join them by the fire straight after the sunset safari.
Oh, my dear, I do find you most attractive when you're covered in bird lice. Oh, Charles, I love it when you peck at my head and clean the bird lice off me. Let me say hello to Barry here. Hello, Barry. I'm just going to examine you for some bird lice. Charles, I don't know if I'm comfortable with that. Oh, all right. I shall look for bird lice on myself then.
Hi, my name is Tristan Dix, and I am a guide here at Djuma Private Game Reserve for WildEarth. We love connecting you to the African bush, and we always look forward to all of your questions. If you want to ask a question on WildEarth, you'll need to register on the website. Once registered, go to our live safari page and submit a question below the live feed. Catch up with me on WildEarth.
Something very, very interesting. I didn't plan this, but this is a scene rarely seen. This is what we call a journey of giraffe. So beautiful.
Tune into WildEarth every single day. It's in your nature.
Africa is very special, and when you come down here, even when you're watching through our camera, the landscapes have changed from desert to bushveld to up in the Masai Mara where there's grassland. That means that the biodiversity changes as we move along Africa. And what I love most about connecting with you guys is the fact that I get to share these wonderful experiences with thousands of people.
Catch up with the guides daily here on WildEarth.
Welcome back to andBeyond Ngala, where it seems like the Birmingham Pride is slowly starting to wake up. We've actually got one lioness that's moved a little bit further. And she looks like when she's done scratching, she might want to start moving the pride. Although that itch is just too important right now. So we've actually got the cubs that have come over to the other lions. And everybody seems to be starting to wake up and start playing as the cubs are kind of getting some energy out of the adults. Can you imagine those big paws could do quite a bit of damage if this wasn't a game? That lioness is actually, she acts like quite a cub herself. She's very playful. Notice how she went straight for biting behind the neck. And that's all part of learning how to hunt while you play. There you can see the young male's paw. He's on his back next to his mum. Jojo, the white male, we have not seen him since yesterday. We think he will be okay. There are not injuries that I think would be fatal. I think he'll be fine as soon as he manages to find a few members of the pride to come back to, and then he'll at least have them to help him hunt and to protect him. But for now, he seems to have walked quite far overnight. His tracks have gone quite far west. And so he seems to be doing okay. I think he just needs a few days to lick his wounds and recover, and then he should be fine. Lions are incredibly resilient. So even what seems like it would be a life-threatening injury to us, lions tend to recover pretty well. Oh, she's actually getting grumpy there with that other lioness. invaded some personal space. Wow, she's big. Flopping down like only a lion could. Playtime with Mum. My goodness. Even the sounds that they make when they're flopping over and playing are incredible. Cat, I like your name. Lions kick their legs in the air like that while they're playing because it's a natural defense mechanism. If they're stuck on their back and another lion, maybe from a different pride, is on top of them trying to attack them, they have retractable claws. So they can bring those claws out, and by kicking their back legs like that, they can hopefully injure the other lion enough that it would leave them alone, because when another animal is on top of them, when they're on their back, that means that the very sensitive parts like the underside of the throat as well as the stomach might be exposed, and those are areas that the lions really don't want to get injured. And so that's why they would practice that kicking. It's actually a technique that leopards use quite a lot as well. Playing with one of the sub-adults. Oh, I think she might have squashed it. We have got a lot of playing happening here tonight. This is very typical with the weather cooling down so nicely and a storm rolling in. The predators will naturally be a lot more active. These lionesses are in excellent condition. Absolutely beautiful here tonight. You can just see the pink on the horizon. What a perfect time to have the lions playing in the grass. You can just see heads popping up every now and then. I think we might have to move around that side so we can see the action a bit closer again. This is amazing. Any time spent with the Birmingham Pride is never time wasted. Never, never, never. Especially this time of the day. Much more beautiful than the rest of the day. Moi, it does look like a lot of fun with all this playing in the long grass. I think especially because it is so soft and cushiony, they can almost tackle each other and don't have to worry about it. And they look extra beautiful in the long grass as well, I think, surrounded by all the greenery. Oh, she's a stunning lioness. Okay, we're going to go over into infrared because the light is dropping quite fast. And I'll see if I can keep following them. They definitely look like playtime has only just started. I think we only saw the beginning. You can just see paws flying and the occasional cub popping up. It's amazing how with the infrared the lines stand out so beautifully. Looks like they're all going to start moving now. There's another lioness coming over as well. And another one. And another one. Everyone's starting to move. Listen to the sounds. Unbelievable. Actually hear them tackling each other. Oh wait, one of them's also attempting to tackle a tree, it seems, in the distance. It's a bit far for the infrared to catch, but I'll see if I can get a bit closer for you. Oh my goodness. I just saw a lion cub fall out of a tree and break the branch in the process. That's hilarious. Let me see if I can get you a little bit closer. So while I try and get closer to that lion climbing the tree, I'm going to send you over to Tswalu with the giraffe.
So we've got two half-sized giraffe, very young male giraffe, but they certainly half the height of what the adults are. We only got two of them, so I don't know if they've just decided to move off on their own and they're happy to be together. Oh, he's running to catch up to the other one. See, two front legs, two back legs when they run. And run out of the shot for Morgan, but then on our right hand side we've got two springboks, so we just we got something else for you. And yeah, keep a lookout in the background. There might be a lightning strike. There is some lightning. We're probably going to start heading back in for safety. There is quite a bit of lightning around both the western and the northern horizon, so hopefully the springbok don't get too wet. Oh, this is our combo. We put this combo on yesterday. It's the youngster with the short little horns and then the adult. So when they got short little horns like that, they're sort of 3-4 months old. Oh no, wildebeest just arrived. Go left. There we go. Take your pick. They all want to be on TV this afternoon. So the wind is coming in quite strong, which will affect their sense of smell, so it will make them a little bit more nervous about what's going on. They are facing in the general direction of, looks like pending rain. Certainly lots of lightning, lots of thunder, and it's quite close because it's not long after we see the lightning do we hear the thunder. So springbok and wildebeest quite happy to coexist. Both of them will eat grass and be happy to... So Nathan's asking the question, how high can they jump? He's aged 9. So springbok, it's probably about 2 meters high, but across you're probably finding it's like 10 or 11 meters if they're like literally flying at speed because something is chasing them. They can go quite quickly. I'm just going to turn the vehicle around so we can actually show you what is happening on the northern horizon, because there's some spectacular thing there. So maybe we just show the mountains that side. In that sort of general, there's lots of... So it is just literally covered with cloud, but we'll just wait for some lightning to show you. So the animals try and find a little bit of shelter. Sometimes under the tree is not necessarily the safest place to be, but there we go. I don't know, did you get that one? Just short. Okay. just shy of the left side of the screen there was some. There we go. You must have got those ones. So, yeah. Morgan, that's our way home. So we got to head that way before there's too much of that. We are in an open vehicle, so we also head back because we're protecting all the camera equipment and everything so that we are able to come to you tomorrow morning. Nature can put on some really spectacular shows. That's just amazing. So Victoria is asking are the animals afraid of lightning? So I haven't seen it, that they react any different to it. Certainly there's a lot more wind, which affects their sense of smell, which makes them a little bit more nervous, so you could interpret that the lightning is affecting them. But I haven't seen it affect them. They've got used to it. It just means that there's some rain coming. But I know lots of people with pets, particularly with dogs, I think the association with fireworks, sometimes lightning does set them off to being not enjoying that at all. So I do think, from a safety point of view, we're going to start heading back. Whoops. Whoa! Absolutely stunning. So generally when we have these electrical storms, it's been as a result of a really, really hot day, and then that water moisture, all that moisture has gone up, formed those clouds, and there's lots of friction in the air, which is why we do get a lot of lightning. We do tend to get a lot of these thunderstorms that'll bring in. Sometimes it's just all sort of lightning and thunder, and we don't actually get the rain from it. But there is certainly some rain in that. So we're going to send you across to Tess with her playful lions, and I think we're going to probably be saying goodnight because we're going to get to safety.
Welcome back to andBeyond Ngala, where I'm watching the Birmingham Pride still tackling each other as they slowly keep edging west towards those thickets. And every few minutes they're settling, they play a bit, and then they start moving again. Just listen to those sounds. Let me get you a little bit closer. This grass is so long. Actually quite interesting to see where they go from here, because we are very, very close to the den site, or the older den site of the lioness with the 3 little cubs, although she hasn't been seen there in the last few days. So we think she's moved it. And we are very, very close to that area, so I wonder if these lions are not looking for her. Definitely heard something that caught her attention. Although with that tail still flicking about, she's definitely still feeling playful. Melissa, yes, the cubs do actually enjoy playing in the rain, provided it's not a very hard rain. If it's a very hard rain, the lions will actually go and lie underneath some thickets to try and stay warm. Even the adults would do that. But if it's a nice light rain, it cools them down, and so they have this burst of energy. And then they do tend to play in the rain, particularly in the first few months. It's one of the cutest things I've ever seen was some cubs of the Birmingham Pride, the first time they had ever experienced rain. And they were still quite small, maybe 6 weeks old or so, like the other 3 little lion cubs we have at the moment. And as the raindrops were hitting them, you could see they were confused because they'd never experienced this rain before. And they kept running to their mom and trying to hide, and they were complaining very loudly about it because they just weren't sure what was happening. But as they get used to it, they get used to rain, meaning it's time to be more active for hunting, but also for playing. I think that female cub that's on the left is so beautiful. She's got a very elegant face. She looks like she's going to be quite a stunning lioness. She's got a fly bothering her. So one of the adults is walking over, so she's actually following the movement of the lioness. There you go. Time to up and play again. It's a lion's life, running around playing in the long grass. Big yawn. Nakuda, you're 10 years old and you want to know how far a lion's roar can travel. So I would say at least 15 kilometers on a nice cool night. But maybe on a night where there might be some interference or it's warm, the sound doesn't travel as far. So the average would probably be between 8 and 12 kilometers, somewhere there. But it can travel up to 15 kilometers quite easily. Listen to those beautiful sounds. There's actually quite a lot of insects out still. Oh, shame, I think she stood on something. She looked like she tripped on the front right paw. It's amazing how as she gets further and further away, how she blends in. To think that animals like impalas and buffaloes, they would not be able to see at all. At the moment, if I'm looking just with my naked eye, I cannot see any lions at all. Unbelievable. So we're going to change out of infrared quickly to show you how dark it is and how much of a difference the infrared makes. Have a look at that. So that's what I'm seeing with the naked eye. I cannot see even the shape of a lion, even when they're moving and chasing each other. Can't see where the grass starts and ends. And then when we flick back into infrared like that, you can actually see the forms of the trees, the grass. And you can see the movement of the lions. They are quite far at the moment from the infrared. So as we get closer, it gets clearer. But it's just amazing to think that animals have to deal with this view with the naked eye. So they're also not seeing things as clearly as we would with the infrared light. It must be quite terrifying to live out here and not have the ability to see clearly. I am definitely going to be moving forward, see if we can find them again. Oh, this grass is so long. How long is this grass? It's coming right over the bonnet. Unbelievable. Right, we're going to loop around to get to the front of them. Generally, it would depend on each individual animal, but normally, no, they're not afraid of the vehicles. With animals like the Birmingham Pride, they have grown up around the vehicles, so for them, it's quite normal to be around the vehicles. But for an animal that might be naturally more shy, maybe like smaller things like bat-eared foxes even, might be more afraid of the vehicle until they get habituated. For most animals, though, they're not afraid of the vehicles, and if they do start off kind of nervous, it usually tends to change over time as they get more and more used to us. Okay, so we are back on the road, and they might have actually already crossed. Let me find out from Eric. Eric, come in.
Okay.
Do you have visual still? Copy that, thank you. Alright, so it seems they have come down to the road. Eric has decided he is leaving. The light is too low. But to give you an idea, where I am now, just over to my left, is where the Birmingham Den site was. So I'm thinking that's where they're going. I've got the Timavati River down to my left. So I'm going to drive slowly and see if we can find them. And I'm going to send you over to Steve, who's on a mission tonight, to see what he can find.
I suppose we are on a little bit of a mission, Tessa. We left the Telematis. The wind picked up and they went into the north, into Buffelshoek. And we've spent a fair bit of time with them the last few days. So the other vehicles around, we've allowed them to continue on, which is good. There's only so much traversing into Buffelshoek, so we let them go. And I think also we might have lost a bit of signal there. So we've come back on to Djuma, and I'm going to head back down into the sort of area of a very pretty and beautiful leopard, and a leopard that everybody loves very, very much. Beloved is her name. And we'll just see, maybe the wind has picked up, maybe we're moving a cut line. Possible. The wind picked up and the line stood up and just started moving straight away. It's always the case. And the Tortured Pride is not far away. They're also in Buffelshoek towards the southeast. So say there's a few kilometers between them, but they've got that one little cub. And there were 5 other cubs found the other day by one of the landowners that they didn't find any adults with them. And these 6 or 7 lionesses, let's quickly go back to Ngala.
Welcome back to andBeyond in Ngala. I have found the lions crossing the road down towards the river. So where they're going at the moment, I actually cannot follow because they're going straight towards the bank. The bank is just past that long grass that lioness is walking through. So I have a feeling they're about to drop into the Timavati riverbed. And they sound like horses running. They're so loud. Unbelievable. So there were 5 lions here 2 seconds ago. Now they've gone down towards the river. So unfortunately, I can't follow them through there. So what I'm going to have to do is possibly actually go back around, loop down into the riverbed, and actually try from there towards where that den site used to be, because that lioness, we have not seen her there in 3 or 4 days. Maybe they're still smelling her, but she might not actually be there. So it might be worthwhile just heading down and around to the river. So let's turn around. I'm going to go to the closest crossing, which is actually behind me. And hopefully we get to see them in the riverbed. It's always nice seeing active lions, actually, because I think majority of the time we get to see sleeping lions. They sleep for so long every single day. Ryson, when lions get sick, they would tend to rest a lot more, so they'll find somewhere safe and shady close to water, and they'll rest as much as they can to save their energy, and then that energy goes into the body to start healing it. And then what they might also do is try and stick with the pride as much as they can. So they might follow just a little bit behind the pride so that when the pride is hunting, they're out of the way, they can't get injured because they're already feeling ill. So they stay back, they let the pride hunt, and then they'll come in and feed on whatever the pride has caught for the evening. So normally that would be what you would see. Sometimes you might see sickly lions that actually leave the pride altogether, but that's usually when they are so ill that they can't keep up, and that might be closer to the end of their life. It's an absolutely beautiful evening here. I'm just going to use the spotlight as well, make sure we don't miss anything. So I think it's quite likely that we do have other lions around in the nearby vicinity. That lioness with the 3 cubs, the Ross males should be around somewhere as well, and the rest of the pride as well as the white male. So hopefully maybe they join up with the rest of the pride, because they look like they know exactly where they were going. They're headed in a straight line. For lions to get water when there isn't water nearby, they would actually have to travel a pretty far distance. So they would be able to walk sometimes 40 or 50 kilometers if they needed to, even more, to get to fresh water. But a lot of the time as well, they might get some of that fluid that they need from the carcasses of animals that they've killed, because there's blood in it, which has water in it. But most of the time you'd find they'd have to just travel very, very far distances to see, oh, there's a scrub here, to see what they can actually find in terms of water. You might find though that even if they're desperate, they might even go for little puddles in the road or in the riverbeds where elephants have dug to find fresh water. You'll often find lions looking for that along the riverbeds. I always feel like the landscape looks so different at night. Cats, I also wish I had eyesight like a lion at night. It would make things a lot easier, I think. As a species, humans are actually quite poorly evolved with our senses. Whoop. So, yes, it would be good. Did you know, Kat, that lions can actually see some of the ultraviolet spectrum? So they can see some colors that we can't. But they also see a lot clearer. It allows them to see a much crisper image at night as well. So I've now got the riverbed on my left-hand side, and I'm going to be coming up to a crossing which takes me down, and then I'm hopefully going to be able to find those lions again. What I'm really hoping is that those lions lead me to the white lion and the rest of the pride. How amazing would that be? I would love that. Molly, the main dry riverbed that runs through and beyond Ngala is the Tswalu River, but currently we don't have any dry riverbeds. They all have water in them, and they have been consistently flowing for over 10 days now, which is the longest in about 9 years, if we look at our records. But riverbeds in total, we have the main riverbed, which is the Tswalu Riverbed, and then we also have a lot of smaller tributaries that run into it. Like the Thereon drainage line, like the Tswalu drainage line, and quite a number of others, and Susu drainage line. So there are a lot of smaller riverbeds but luckily every single one has water in it right now. So dry riverbeds for the first time ever in my guiding career, I can say none. Alright, so I'm going to head down into the riverbed, put myself into 4x4 low range. Hopefully my signal doesn't dip as I go down. There we go. Alrighty. Sabi, you are 6 years old. I had some pretty good training to become a guide in terms of my driving. We do actually do a 4x4 training course as part of our training for andBeyond. But I think most of it just comes with experience, and also you learn a lot from your tracker who normally sits in that seat up front. They've usually been here for quite a bit longer, and so they can teach you the ins and outs while you're actually out on the reserve as well, especially when it comes to off-roading. But yes, a 4x4 course would be very helpful to make sure that you know what you're doing with the vehicle in case anything goes wrong. But also, just so that you feel more confident and comfortable and you know that you can take it on. But it is quite funny often to see people's reactions when they see how well we can drive these things and how much these vehicles actually go through and can accomplish. It's one of my favorite parts of the job is driving this vehicle, by far. It's my dream to own one day myself. Good old Land Cruiser never ever hurt anybody. Right, so I'm gonna keep going down the riverbed. Hopefully I can find these lines for you. Wish me luck, hold thumbs.
How insane is that animal?
This is out of this world. Fantastic. Good, Mama.
Wow, what a way to start off. Just such an incredible privilege to be out here. It just keeps on delivering.
There you go, there you go. Heart is pumping right now.
3, 2, 1. You are live, you are live.
Look at this, everybody. We've got a live kill.
The croc's holding the tail, it's holding tight. Lucky wildebeest.
There's nowhere to go. This is a disaster in the making.
This is the first leucistic zebra I have ever seen in my life.
Oh, here comes a lion. Run, little guy. Go on.
Something that I have never seen before in my entire life that you are now watching live.
My heart is in my mouth, everybody.
Look at this. It's gonna make it. It's going, it's going.
This is just too magical. Hi, little guys. That's great, isn't it?
Has it just pretended to be dead? That is the coolest thing I've ever seen.
Look at that. Scuba Steve has got a friend.
You've got a friend in me.
It couldn't be a better morning. This is just too special.
Oh my goodness, we've got a turtle.
How epic is the fact that we're coming to you live from the Djuma River?
It's the most incredible feeling to be here. This is live and we're in Rwanda. This is a very, very different adventure, charged with emotion.
Look at that little zebra about to be born. There's the head.
Oh, you clever mare. Well done.
I did not think I would ever face my fears like this.
Welcome back to andBeyond and Ngala, everybody. So I am just getting to the section of the river now where I think these lions have come towards. So I'm scanning really carefully with the spotlight all along the bank. And I'm hoping that they decide to come down, if they haven't already crossed, that is. Have some eyes. Alison, I'm so happy that you're happy, and I'm even more happy because I found the lions. Yay! And we are still playing. Let's have a look. They're just on my left. We are going to have a look because we are close to the den site, just to make sure which lions are here. And it looks like we have got quite a few. You can see a lot of insects flying around. Everybody's still very playful. So it still looks like the same 5. We haven't picked up any extra members yet. And we are still overly playful. And up onto the road they go. So up onto the road I go. Oh my goodness. They are certainly keeping me busy tonight. That's for sure. So we are actually in one of my favorite parts of the reserve altogether at the moment. It's a pretty beautiful area along the river. Oh, there we go, on the road. Yay! So we are on a very bumpy stretch of the road, but I'm going to try and get you a nice view. Whoop! There's a hole. There we go. What an absolutely stunning way to end a beautiful afternoon with my favorite pride of lions. They are still keeping me busy. All right, let me see if I can get a little closer again. I think they're definitely looking for that lioness with the cubs, but it has been such a phenomenal day today. I feel like so much has happened. We have seen so many things. I've got a lion lying out. And that is a very cute face to end the show with. Have a look at that. Oh, contact calling, time to go to mum. So thank you so much to everybody who joined us today. It's been an absolute pleasure driving you on safari this afternoon from all of us here at WildEarth. Please join us again in the morning for some more lion action and hopefully some more magical sightings in the African wild. We are looking forward to seeing you in the morning.